Anthony, Fox News.
If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran.
That's what President Trump tells reporters despite a flare-up in fighting with Iran.
They trifled with us today. We blew them away. They trifled. I call that a trifle.
The Pentagon says the USS Truxtun, the USS Mason, and USS Rafael Peralta were targeted by Iranian missiles, drones, and small boats. In response, the U.S. military says it hit Iranian missile and drone launch sites, command and control locations, and intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance nodes. The president says the 3 unharmed U.S. destroyers will now rejoin his naval blockade, warning of more harsh action if a deal with Iran is not reached soon.
That's Fox's Madeline Rivera. The president says his red line remains Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. A report a few minutes ago out of Iran state media claims that Iran has seized an oil tanker. Oil prices, they are up slightly. But gas is down a penny today after a big spike up the last couple of weeks at the pump. AAA's national average for regular still $4.54 per gallon. President Trump also reacted last night to another court ruling against more of his tariffs.
We had one very positive vote. We had 2 radical left judges that voted against it.
The Court for International Trade called illegal the next wave of tariffs the president imposed under a different statute after the Supreme Court struck down his first tariffs in February as unconstitutional. The new ruling only affects the plaintiffs, leaving in place the tariffs for the others. The U.S. is sending a plane to Spain's Canary Islands, where a cruise ship stricken by hantavirus outbreak will dock tomorrow. The plane will fly the 17 Americans on board back to the U.S. And all the passengers are in quarantine with 8 suspected hantavirus cases. 3 of those died. World Health Organization Dr. Maria Van Kerkhove says,
"This is not SARS-CoV-2. This is not the start of a COVID pandemic."
America's listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Subaru of Gwinnett. You'll love the difference. The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los on your Friday. We made it to Friday. Thank God it is Friday. 404-741-1230 at Extra 106.3 across the social media platforms. Front Office Los, good morning. How are you?
Tug, I feel like we deserve this Friday.
Yes, we do.
We've been through some things that are hard to explain.
Right.
The only thing that maybe that men who have seen combat, when they look at each other, they have that bond.
Yeah.
I feel like you and I have now been through something where we look at each other, we're like, whoa.
Yeah. With candidate week and having all the candidates on all week, and we got more today. And then last night in Alpharetta for Congressman Rich McCormick, he had a town hall, and they asked Los and I to moderate it. Los and I had never done anything like that before. We weren't sure what we were stepping into, and it was an adventure. Would that be a good description?
Well, okay, I want to take a step back, because you and I, because of the amount of candidates we've had that have come through, would it be fair to say that we've made sure to put a little bit of extra pressure on ourselves to go over?
I think so.
Yeah, we're trying to go over as many things as possible. We're trying to set up a good environment, ask questions. If you don't care for their answers, good. Or if you do, good. Either way, we're trying to put that forth. And so once we finished that off with Rick Jackson, it then turned into you and I showing up over in Alpharetta. We get sent around the security line. We get brought backstage, and everyone is kind of giving us this look of like, all right, so you guys ready for this? We're like, what is this?
What is this?
Yeah.
Is it going to be something so crazy that we can't comprehend it? And then when when you see the security detail and the things that go into protecting a congressman, you go, wow, this is something else. I've not seen anything like this before.
I'll just say this, because I don't want to give away any sort of operational security.
No, 100% not.
But there was one point where Tug and I are looking around, and I'm looking at Tug, and I'm thinking, well, Tug doesn't have any body armor, and I don't have any body armor, but why do all the rest of these guys have body armor?
What were to happen to us if things go south? And I don't think there was much thought about that part.
No, it was hopefully they take out the radio host first, but at least, and that was the one of the big differences, is that when we came in, the police presence and the private security presence, and then the metal detectors, I felt pretty good about when we went into that room that the most that anybody was going to bring as far as the crazy left was going to be their voice. Yeah. And boy, they didn't have a problem with doing that.
They did not. And we did our best to moderate and keep people in line. I was telling Bryce this morning, that was the funniest thing that happened was when the guy was just speaking, right? He was supposed to ask a question, and he was just speaking. And then it went on for a good 30, 40 seconds, and Los goes, well, respectfully, you've said a lot, but do you actually have a question?
I got to the point, and I hopefully we hear back from the Congressman Dr. Rich McCormick's office, because here was the other challenge we had, and we were told this, and because Tug and I are used to working on hard deadlines, not a problem. We were told this thing has to be done at 7 sharp because the congressman is meeting with a bunch of Marines. And they have a fraternity, basically dinner. They have a get together. It's very important that he's there on time, and like I said, he's really looking forward to getting together with them. So we knew, all right, we're starting, and here's the amount of time, and then we got to get out. And so when somebody was grandstanding or was just kept talking, it's like a caller, like, get to your GD point. And so suddenly I went into radio mode. I go, respectfully, sir, do you have a question for the congressman?
Because I've not heard one yet.
and so there's a part of me, because the video is now out. Like, I do have the YouTube link. Man, Tug, I can't watch it yet. Just because it's like some of the stuff that came out of my mouth.
And then some of the stuff that I know that was bouncing around in your head that didn't come out of the mouth, but wanted to come out of the mouth.
There was, and I ended up looking this up. So we have had enough congressmen that have come through that talk about the spending issues in Congress.
Yep.
And quite simply, when you have as much as 60% or more of the budget, for instance, that is considered mandatory spending. That's health care cost. For instance,
entitlements.
When you go through the budget, you have nearly 22 to 25% of the entirety of our budget goes to Social Security spending. If you go into our health care programs, that can be 25 to 30%, just depending. And third on the list is nearly always national defense, which you just had President Trump and Pete Hegseth basically request $1.2 trillion in spending, which still would make it third by a lot.
Yeah,
like the other two are still like, but. So here's Dr. Rich McCormick, and he's talking about our spending, and here's what we have to deal with. And again, I've heard this, you have heard this from a number of congressmen, and down in front is the hag lefty lady.
Dude, and her soy boy, boyfriend, husband guy.
And all she showed up to do was complain and to bitch. And the first thing she's like, military.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
And Dr. Rich kind of gives her a look, and he's like, well, no, ma'am.
Yeah, that's not right.
And I'm next to you, and I kind of give her a look, and I'm like, you're not right,
But you're not going to quit saying the same thing over. And she just continued to yap and yap and yap. And at some point, Dr. McCormick, this was probably maybe 3/4 in after it had gone on the whole time, he was like, "Ma'am, we can't hear you, first of all, because you're not amplified. So we only hear this low rumble of your chirping. So we know that it's happening." And he's like, "And if you continue, we will ask someone to escort you out." And
you want to be here?
Yeah, that's right. And that was all he asked, which I thought was a pretty, a pretty normal thing. Don't disrupt.
Well, from an operational standpoint, Tug and I are on stage. And again, it's just Tug and I and the congressman. That's it. That's all. And so we've got this room full of, I'm guessing, 250 people.
Yeah.
And they're all there to ask questions. And what we had is two of the congressman's staff that are working the room. They each have microphones. And if you raise your hand, they will come over to your section. They will, pull you kind of out of the line or get as close to you as possible to put the mic near you, and you ask your question. And so that was how the system was working. And Tug and I would just call on different sections, and we would just bounce from each assistant and basically say, like, okay, let's head back over to Lizzie.
Yep.
She's got a question. Here's what we're doing. To watch the people that, as the night progressed, the crazier the questions, where it was a gentleman from Alpharetta, and again, the congressman, you and I both said we can't do that job.
I would never. I told Bryce first thing this morning, I would never.
So,
even consider it.
For instance, if you called into to our radio show and you said, "I live here, I'm black, I can't believe I've lost my voting rights," I would say that you're a moron.
Yeah.
I would say you're an idiot. And this is the scenario that played out where the guy was, at the Supreme Court, I've lost my ability to vote.
Yeah.
It was like
he was concerned that he was not going to be able to vote, and I can't wrap my head around why you would think that.
We had another gentleman who got up to explain that he's and this is where I talk about the preamble, and oftentimes the preamble is BS. I had a gentleman who got up and he's like, I'm a small business owner. These gas prices are killing me. I've got 2 young kids. And when are we going to get the full release of the Epstein files?
Right. And Dr. McCormick's like, I think they've released everything, man. It's my understanding that everything now has been released.
Everything is out there. Why is it the biggest nothing burger? But if you're that far into leftist politics, it is still your white whale.
Yeah,
it's your unicorn.
You're waiting on the smoking gun.
You think there's going to be something where it's like, we finally got Donald Trump. I'm up there. And as I'm trying, this is why I say I don't want to watch the video. I'm trying not
to hide your face. Well, just hide your expression.
I've been told many times at the radio station that don't sit next to Los during meetings because he can't hide his feelings on his face.
Yeah.
And it's true. Tug, as soon as that happened, I just wanted to go, come on, dude. He's been dead since 2017. The Democrats held the files for the better part of 5 years.
Yeah, he's right. Absolutely. And
if it's damning to anybody, it's you, brother.
Yeah, right. And that's the reason they didn't put it out, or they were afraid of it anyway. And then, Dr. McCormick's like, I've been in the skiff, man. I feel like we've seen everything. I've heard everything. There's nothing left to hear. I don't know what you want. What else you want?
Yeah, there was another person who, when we talked about cleaning up some of the elections of what's going on in Fulton County, and this is how you knew it was very leftist. They would start off with I'm concerned about this, but why are we spending our money over here? There's nothing to see. What's the big...
Talking about the raid at the FBI raid on Fulton County.
Right, and to his credit, Dr. Rich McCormick brought up, listen, I've been briefed on this. It's an active investigation. He's like, we can't change anything. He's like, and this seems like a very sane point. It's the one we make. It's like, can't change anything, but don't you want to understand, in the interest of your vote, what went on so that it doesn't happen again?
Right. Which is exactly what Rick Jackson said yesterday, too. Exactly. It's a very common sense approach on that.
So the hag down front immediately is yelling because now there's other people that she's yelling at, and she's yelling at, and she's like, "We won fair and square."
Yeah.
And there was a part of me that goes, and I wanted to pause everything, like jump in as a radio show host.
That's right.
And say, ma'am, I understand your concern, and down in front, stay down in front. None of you all have been privy to the fact that Tug and I have known people that have been part of a bipartisan state board.
Yeah.
Bipartisan, and both sides are like, there's something wrong in the state.
That's exactly right, and has been since, for a decade or longer.
And to the point where I'd say, to the point where it has screwed over the Democrats in the past and the Republicans in the interest of the powerful people in this state, passing power back and forth between one another.
Y'all take it right now. We'll keep it a little later on, and that's the way the game is played. And it's unfortunate because you think here in Georgia, you would think in this what we would consider a red state, I guess it's a red state, I feel like it's a red state, that the Republicans would be more apt to get to the bottom of this thing. And instead they defunded the election board, the bipartisan election board, because they got too close.
And that's the deal. I wanted to be like, Brian Kemp defunded the state election board that was bipartisan, that had Republicans and Democrats saying, we have a serious problem here. Now, I don't expect the congressman to know this. Yet you and I, Tug, are the two people on stage that actually do, but it's not our show.
That's right. And so there's the moment where you go, okay, don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Don't say anything.
I had so many urges to say,
I know.
How about, what if, maybe you should consider this part. Yeah. And I think I have a pretty good poker face. So I don't know that my face will be all. There'll probably be a couple of them where I get a little side eye, or where like the Rock, where he lifts up the one eyebrow. Like, what are you talking about?
I got to tell the audience about the one that you blurted out, because I loved it. It was that moment of, I know I'm kind of getting into jerk mode, but I'm glad that mi amigo has decided to jump in as well. So there was a man, I would say probably mid-late 60s, and he gets up and he's getting ready to ask his question. They, introduced himself, and it always started like, I wanted to get a name, because I think if you have a name, then you're talking to the person. Now we're having a conversation.
Yeah,
many of these people didn't want to tell you their name. That was also another dead giveaway. But this person gets up and starts to talk about, the concern about democracy. Okay, here's the first buzzword. Yeah. I have a concern about our democracy. I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm like, pretty sure it's working pretty good, brother.
Seems like things are taking right along.
A man just won 7 swing states and won the popular vote. I'm not really concerned about democracy, but I know who talks about that all the time. That's your side. And as he pointed out, he said, I'm concerned about all the unconstitutional acts that this administration is causing.
They're deporting American people.
Well, he didn't remember. He didn't even. He was just talking about the unconstitutional acts.
Right,
and if you remember, I go, excuse me, sir, if you could just get into one.
Yes, that's right.
I was like, so we could talk about that. Yeah. And he puts his hands out. He goes, well, there's so many. And before I can speak, all you hear is Tug Cowart over the entire crowd go, well, how about just one?
Just name one.
Just name one.
Give us one.
And the man says, well, not declaring war through the Congress.
Oh, yeah.
And so Tug and I kind of sit back, and I already know the answer to this, and Tug knows the answer to this, because this is what we do on this radio program. And Dr. Rich McCormick, in a very cool fashion, says, are you aware of that since World War II, how many times have we declared war? And I just put my hands together in the shape of a zero.
That's right.
Like, if you don't know this, then you're the ill-informed.
Yeah, that's right.
How am I the one on stage with Tug Cowart, and Tug and I know this, and yet this guy's over here yapping about this being unconstitutional, yet every president since World War II has done this, to the point where the War Powers Act of 73 came in to at least define how you do this without declaring war. And every president since World War II has used this power.
Yeah, and it was amazing to see how cool Dr. Rich was.
Very chill. Dude, not bothered by any of it at all.
Nope. it takes a special character to be able to do that, to be able to listen to things that you know are BS like that and answer them and not roll your eyes and not be like, are you dumb? What is wrong with you? You know what? Like, do you not read at all? Ever? Anything? So to see him, I guess it's like the pilot cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you have to be you have to be cool under fire. You have to be cool under emergency. So probably to him, as a guy that flew combat missions, as a guy that is the best of the best, he was so even keeled the whole time. That was the thing I was most impressed about for him.
You know, there's so much about policy that it's so much in the weeds that I defer to those people that do it all the time. You know, you and I have talked to congressmen and we've talked to senators and we ask about, you know, how can we get this done? And they start explaining how complicated it is. And I put it under, I take all of my thoughts and I put it under the box of, it's really complicated. I don't understand it.
Yeah.
Right? You know,
yes. There's plenty of it.
Like Tug, hey, I'm hungry. All right, Tug and I go get lunch.
Let's go grab lunch.
All right, we say, we have this problem in the country. Why don't we fix it? Mm-hmm. Well, that's a lot more complicated than you think.
Yes.
It all goes in that box. Well, some things are so simple in terms of how it actually works or what the policy is or what the law is, that when those people are asking those questions, that's when I'm, as the congressman was totally chill, as you said, pilot chill, and I'm probably rolling my eyes on stage.
Yeah, looking like a one-armed bandit in Las Vegas, just eyes rolling back like something on Bugs Bunny. It was an experience like I've never had before. First, and you know, a lot of very kind words from the congressman's staff about the job we did. So I felt really good about that. And I'd gotten 3 of them by the end of the evening, so that was good, dude. I feel like they appreciated us showing up and not knowing really what we were walking into.
I will tell you, I have a whole new respect, and considering what they were trying to do, as far as they wanted about a 50-50 crowd,
they got it.
Well, I think they had a whole lot of the I'm Republican.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But hey, if anything, I think it was a lot better because you and I were up there to go, this is what we do.
Yeah, that's right. No, and they appreciated that too. Because here's another thing. Remember they said at the last town hall they got 10 questions in? I bet we at least got 20, if not more.
Oh, yeah, felt that way.
In the hour and about 5 minutes that we ran that thing. So I'm proud of us, and I think that if they need something like that again, they won't hesitate to call on us.
And next week, we are going to cut it up and play it for the audience because it is...
Yeah, it's good.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. Holy cow. All right, when we come back, Vernon Jones, he is running for Secretary of State in the state of Georgia. Part of Candidate Week next on Extra 106.3, 6 o'clock hour. Brought to you by Subaru of Gwinnett.
Support the advertisers and partners that share your values. Give our extra advertisers the first shot to earn your business. They will deliver for you every time and support the extra community like no one else. Connect with all of our partners online at extra1063.com.
You want to work with somebody that you can depend on, somebody that you can trust. And Lord, these days, it seems like that is a thing of the past. And that is unless you work with Central Heating and Air Conditioning. They've been part of the Atlanta community for about 78 years. They've been a second-generation locally owned family company operating here in Atlanta since like 47 or something. I mean, it's an astounding number. And they've been pitched. They've gotten the, hey, we'll buy you out. We've bought out so many of these AC companies. We want to buy yours too. And Chuck's like, nah, I'm good. And he maintains it being a local family company. Why does that matter? Why do they care? Because operationally, they want to operate a small business in a setting like Atlanta, because that's what the family has always done. It's kind of like farmers. You know how farmers take real pride in the fact that they're farmers and the job that they do is meaningful and impactful. Chuck feels the same way. So when, you have somebody come out, and look, I get it. Go get your 3 estimates on whatever's going on in your house with your AC system. And I think when you use central heating and air conditioning, you'll actually see that difference. I've been speaking on their behalf for a long time, and I encourage you to reach out to Chuck and his team when you need a maintenance agreement, so you know your HVAC lasts as long as it can, or if you have something that comes up, an issue, something needs to be repaired, they can take care of that. Or if you need to change out the entire system, they work with Carrier, the best in the business, working with the best in the business at Central. Call them up if you need anything done to your HVAC to make sure that your family's comfortable all summer long. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. Central Heating and Air Conditioning, delivering Carrier comfort for the world we share.
It's official. President Trump has endorsed Burt Jones for governor.
Burt Jones has been an incredible leader. This man has my complete and total endorsement, and I really want to see him win.
Burt Jones is a trusted Trump conservative who's leading the fight to end Georgia's state income tax.
He's going to make a great, great governor. You will be very happy, Georgia. Burt Jones has my complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Burt Jones for Georgia.
Did you know that over 70% of all Porsche vehicles ever built are still on the road today? Hello, I'm Mark Venti, Executive Director for Hennessy Porsche, and I'm here to talk to you about Porsche Certified Pre-Owned, a designation that is not easily earned. Every Porsche CPO vehicle undergoes a meticulous preparation process to ensure it's worthy of the Porsche name. Factory-trained technicians perform a comprehensive 111-point mechanical, cosmetic, and visual inspection while using only original Porsche parts. These rigorous standards guarantee a vehicle that delivers the exceptional quality and performance you expect. With a Porsche CPO vehicle, you'll enjoy worry-free driving pleasure. Find your dream Porsche online at HennessyPorsche.com, or better yet, visit us in Roswell to explore our exceptional inventory in person. We recognize that Porsche owners are some of the greatest automotive enthusiasts and experts in the world who demand the very best. This is what ignites our passion to perform for you. Hennessy Porsche, where you will always experience excellence.
It's tax season, and by now, I know you're a bit tired of the numbers, but here's an important one you need to hear. $16 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud. Here's another. 1 in 4 honest, hardworking taxpayer Americans have been a victim of identity theft. 1 in 4. Not all grim news. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second for your personal information and alerts you to threats that you could easily miss on your own. In fact, Tanya and I have been saved by LifeLock on multiple occasions. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to fix it, and it's backed by another good number, the $1 Million Protection Package. In fact, restoration is guaranteed or your money back. So don't face identity theft and financial losses alone. There's strength in numbers with LifeLock Identity Theft Protection. For tax season and beyond, join now. Save up to 40% off your first year with the promo code BECK. 1-800-LifeLock, 1-800-LifeLock, or lifelock.com. Use the promo code BECK, 40% off. Terms do apply.
Right here in our backyard, sellers trust Purple Wave Auction to move their equipment, from excavators and ag equipment to trucks and specialty trailers. Our no-reserve online auctions help local sellers turn iron into opportunity. You get a dedicated territory manager who knows your operation, your market, and your timeline, backed by nationwide buyer demand, local service, national reach, real results. See why more sellers choose Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com to get started today.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Friday, May 8th, and here are your headlines. President Donald Trump paused Project Freedom less than a day after launching it, saying progress is being made towards a peace deal involving Iran. U.S. Central Command says American forces intercepted Iranian missiles and drones targeting commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, while Iran also launched attacks towards multiple U.S. Navy vessels. President Trump warned Iran would face a, quote, lot of pain if a nuclear deal is not reached. Despite heavy rain returning to parts of Georgia this week, drought conditions across the state remain unchanged. Some metro counties picked up more than 3 inches of rain, but the NOAA says Metro Atlanta still needs roughly another foot of rainfall to fully end the drought. Forecasters say it could take several more major soaking rain events before conditions significantly improve. And finally, Candidate Week wraps up today on Extra 106.3. Clark Hungerford from the Cobb County Commission District 1 will join us later this morning at 9:25. And in case you missed any of our conversations throughout the week with Vernon Jones, Greg Dolezal, Burt Jones, and Rick Jackson, you can watch them all right now on the Extra 106.3 YouTube or listen to them on the Extra 106.3 app. Today's weather is a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 76 and a low of 59. With your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Gobert.
We've coined it Candidates Week here on the Morning Extra on Extra 1063 because, as Bryce just laid out, so many of the candidates, so many of the big names that are running for office in the state of Georgia are joining the show, and Candidate Week gets kicked off front office Los with our friend Vernon Jones, who's running for Secretary of State. Vernon, how are you, man? Good to see you.
Doing fine. It is great to be here on the Extra 106.3. Guys, you are making it happen, and I'm glad you're having Candidate Week. The voters are appreciative of that.
I like to think so, and let's start with the office that you're running for, Secretary of State. What is it that said, that was the beacon, that was the waving hand, that was the red flag that made you go, Secretary of State, it's where I need to run. Why did you choose Secretary of State, and what prompted you to run for it?
Well, first of all, if you look at my background, I've been a chief executive. I've actually run a government, about 8,000 employees, about a $4 billion budget, oversaw a lot of departments, including but not limited to elections. And all elections are held at the local level. So making sure that people are properly trained, we have enough employees, enough machines, they're working. The precincts are well planned out in terms of the balance of voters on those precincts, so there's no backlog and this and that. And having a legislative background, having served 12 years in the Georgia House of Representatives, understanding how things work, the legislative branch, knowing that the legislative branch sets the budget, sets state policy, the laws as it relates to elections. And when you look at the Secretary of State's office, obviously it's a chief executive office, has about 345 employees. Like I said, I manage 8,000, has about a $45 million budget. I've managed over a $3 billion budget. I've also oversaw elections. Election again held at the local level, not at the state levels, roll up to the state level, but all elections at the local level. And so my background, my experience, and the Secretary of State's responsible for managing over 42 different boards that regulates professional license, whether it's nursing, the barber, the hairstylist, accountant, pharmacist. As a county chief executive, I had to administer license and permits. I know that process. I know how important it is when people make those applications to get the turnaround time, reducing it, making it more efficient, more effective. And when you're talking about you're a nurse and you just graduated from college and you want to get your nurse's license, you don't want the government coming between you and your paycheck. You want to get in and get out. There's been a backlog. There's been problems, no communications, no responses. And my background in information technology and working in the private sector, where I was deemed as one of those that go into various departments and break them down, restore them, make them more efficient, more effective. So it matches my background. I think we also know that we had some serious challenges in the 2020 elections. I just want to make sure what happened in 2020 doesn't happen again in 2026 and moving forward. And we enforce the laws. Whether voter ID laws, we're forcing laws, only registered voters can vote. Only U.S. citizens, I should say, can vote. And so those are very important things, and making sure that every vote counts. So my background, my experience is very unique for this job. It's perfect for this job. There's not a person running that has ever been elected a chief executive that's managed the number of employees I have, the budget I have, or have the experience that I have. So day one, which is important, I can hit the ground running and addressing the issues that can make sure that we restore public trust back in our voting system.
Vernon Jones is our guest running for Secretary of State right here in the state of Georgia. And let's go to just that one point, Vernon, about only citizens voting. I can't imagine that we've reached a point in this country where somehow that's some sort of controversial issue, considering citizenship should be valuable in this country, yet we've had a particular side of the aisle that wants everyone to vote.
Well, let me tell you, we welcome legal, L-E-A-G-A-L. We welcome legal immigration. And if you want to vote, fine, if you're a legal U.S. citizen. But what's shocking is that we have local governments, local elections boards, that have actually admitted that they have registered people to vote, non-U.S. citizens to vote, even when they checked it on their application that they were non-U.S. citizens. They've been allowed to register and to vote. And where's the accountability? See, that's why my background in the legislature, going to the legislature as the Secretary of State, to get them to change the laws, to make it much more punitive to those local governments who violate the law. And, they just chalk it up to, it was an administrative clerical error. No, there's no clerical error. You broke the law. But no, to fine them $1,000, what is that? You have to nothing. So you have to really put some stiff punishment in there, put some teeth in that law to hold them accountable. And you're right. We cannot allow non-U.S. citizens to vote in our elections. It's illegal.
We're seeing it across the state. Even 11 Alive, the TV network, did a expose on people that weren't supposed to be voting and their voting address was a UPS store. I think they had nailed it down to like 27, but then there were thousands. They were showing just thousands of people and names that just didn't add up, and the address didn't match, or there was some sort of discrepancy. How do you clean up those voter rolls, in your opinion?
Well, obviously, voter rolls have to be cleaned up, and Secretary of States have investigators who are supposed to go out and investigate things like this. But where you see 5,000 people registered at one address, 2,000 at another, and when you go and check, it's an abandoned building. You mentioned about being registered from a post office. What has happened? Where's the breakdown? Because you cannot tell me these incidents aren't being reported. But the liberal media themselves, they turned their head. They said there was no fraud in Georgia. You know what? And then they came back. So, well, there's no widespread fraud. Well, how wide is the wide? This is part of the wide.
To who?
Yeah, to who? And so they should. Those incidents should have been investigated a long time ago. How is it that an independent journalist out of nowhere can come and find this information? But for the first time, I will give 11 Alive the credit. That's the first news outlet in Metro Atlanta that called it the way they saw it and didn't try to cover up what happened in 2020 to say, oh, we didn't have any election fraud. This is clearly election fraud when you see people registered, amount of people registered a particular address, and it's not a residence. And so, again, how do you hold them accountable? We're not holding them accountable. Somebody needs to go to jail.
Vernon Jones is our guest running for Secretary of State right here in the state of Georgia. Let's talk about that voter ID requirement. That is something that, for the most part, we're all just used to. It's you have your ID, you validate where you are, that you're at the right polling center, and then you move forward. And across the board, when this gets put to Democrats, to Republicans, voter ID is very popular amongst everyone. Is that something that obviously we want to strengthen here in the state of Georgia, and then hopefully see nationally as we kind of show how it can be done here?
You just hit the nail on the head. You have to have an ID for almost everything. And those who want to use the argument, well, poor people don't have IDs, that's not true. They probably have more IDs because if they're getting government assistance, they have to have a photo ID. When you go to the doctor, you need a photo ID. To drive, you need a photo ID. To get your tickets from the Braves will call, you need a photo ID. Here's what's ironic. John Ossoff, who's a senator, who has to use his photo ID to vote in Washington, he comes back and won't vote for the Save America Act, where it requires photo ID nationally. He holds a rally in Georgia, a public rally, and the number one requirement to get into his rally is that you have to have a government-issued photo ID. That's the height of hypocrisy. Yes, we need photo ID. We need to do everything we can to make voting easy and make cheating harder. And so having a photo ID, I'm a big proponent of that. It should be a national bill, so every state requires it. Unfortunately, some states don't require it. In Georgia, we need to make sure that everything we can do to strengthen our election laws in the name of election integrity, we should do it. And I'm a big proponent of that. And again, my background and working in that legislature, knowing how it works, I can work with them to pass legislation to strengthen our election laws.
Can you work with people on all sides of the aisle? Because I think that's the thing that's happening, at least nationally, is you have most Republicans and conservatives are like, yes, we want the Save America Act. But when you boil that down, when it's here in the state of Georgia, can you work with other Democrats? Can you work with other Republicans to make sure this is something that happens?
I've always had a reputation to have a bipartisan relationship in the legislature, and as I served in local government. It's imperative that whoever's at Secretary of State, that you do have a bipartisan relationship, because the election shouldn't be partisan anyhow. It should be a bipartisan issue. And so I have the background, the experience, and the relationships with people on both sides of the aisle. I used to be a Democrat. That shirt just didn't fit anymore. I just don't believe a man can have a baby. I just don't believe a bull can give milk. I just don't believe that children should go through transgender operations. I don't believe our borders should be open. And I certainly believe in the Second Amendment. I need a Second Amendment to protect my First Amendment. But I've always been a conservative Democrat. Zell Miller, Sonny Perdue and I served in the legislature when he became a Republican. So did President Trump. And so, but yeah, I do have those relationships. As a matter of fact, I am polling high with independents and moderate and conservative Democrats in this race, because they know I have the ability to do that. And I don't have to change my message. I can keep my conservative message. Don't change my stripes. But to his point, sure, I can work with both sides of the aisle to craft the type of legislation and gain and have their confidence that I'm not doing it for partisan reasons. I'm doing it in the name of election integrity, because we all want election integrity at the end of the day. It doesn't matter what party you are. I know there's some out there on the fringes, some on the left, they want illegals to vote. Oh, no, that's a no-no. That cannot happen in Georgia, and I would fight against that.
This is Vernon Jones. He is running for Secretary of State. He is joining us on the Morning Extra. I realize this is a hypothetical, but because of the news that came down last week with Louisiana versus Calais and now changing how so many of these districts are drawn around the country and getting rid of racial gerrymandering, because we've already started early voting, had you already been sitting in that Secretary of Seat, would you have altered anything? Because the argument has been, well, under the Georgia Constitution, there's only so much you can do once we started voting. Would you have left it to the federal government? How would you have played when a ruling like this came down while we already started early voting?
Well, let me just say this and give the voters or listeners here a backdrop. The Voters' Right Act was passed because you had white Democrats really diluting areas or districts that had become majority black. They scattered them out so they can keep getting reelected. And it was only for the southern states primarily. So there was discrimination back then based on race. But now we're beyond that. At this point in time, anybody can get elected. Some will argue and tell you, although I think Barack Obama is mixed, but they would say, hey, we had a black president and we had a black vice president. So we have now a situation where people they just want to vote their interests. And so when I saw the Constitution, when I saw the Supreme Court make that ruling, I was in agreement that, okay, we cannot draw districts based on race. If we did it based on white people, then black people would have a fit with it. So you can't do that, but you can do it. The court said you can't do it based on party. When this ruling came out, we're in the middle of an election. Many would believe, and I can understand too, why not go right now, stop right now, redraw all House, Senate, and congressional districts, although we have a primary going on. But when we had a COVID situation, we delayed the election. So for those who say we cannot do it, surely the governor can, and with Secretary of State working with him, the governor can delay the elections. I think in this particular case, what he's doing, he's going to call a special session to redraw the districts, but they are only applying 2028, not in 2026. Now, some wanted to apply right now, obviously, and just hold off this election. Certainly the president's interest in it because, want to make sure you get more Republicans. And so, but I want to go back to your point. We should not be drawing districts based on race at this point. And at the same time, we should make sure that we do come back and we do have these reapportionment decisions redone, or I should say actions taken again to redraw the district. It's imperative. And the courts have opened that door.
When we come back on Extra 106.3, our guest is a candidate for Secretary of State, Vernon Jones, here on the Morning Extra. Want to ask you about, I want to ask you if Georgia is the best and safest place to vote, because I hear that a lot, and what changes you might make if you were Secretary of State to the way Georgians vote opposed to the way they do it today. Next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
Extra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 8th. A measuring stick weekend out on the West Coast as the Atlanta Braves open up a 3-game series tonight against the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Braves ace Chris Sale will be on the mound tonight. He'll be opposed by Emmett Sheehan. First pitch is set for 10:10 tonight. You can hear all the game action on our sister station, 680 The Fan, and free on the Fan app. A pair of Game 3s in the association tonight as well. The Philadelphia 76ers host the New York Knicks. Philly down 2-0 in that series. That game will tip off the early start at 7 o'clock. Then later in the evening from Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves host the San Antonio Spurs. That series is tied at a game apiece. That tip-off is set for 9:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
In a time when everything feels political, one place must rise above it all. The courtroom, where the law rules and integrity matters. In 2020, Georgians came together, electing a justice who believes in protecting our courts.
I'm Georgia Supreme Court Justice Sarah Warren, and here's what I believe. I believe in the rule of law, the separation of powers, and a judge's limited role to interpret the law as written. I believe in a nonpartisan judiciary, impartial judges who don't advocate for political positions or outcomes. I believe in deciding cases without bias or favor, treating everyone with dignity and respect. As a justice on your Supreme Court, I've upheld these values. With your support, we'll maintain the integrity of our courts.
Vote to re-elect Justice Sarah Warren. Vote early starting April 27th or on Election Day, May 19th. Paid for by Georgians for Justice Warren, Inc.
You know what you get back when you call the Trusted Toolbox? You get your time back, you get your family back, and you get your house back. No more spending weekends fixing loose doors, drywall cracks, or that list that never ends. With our handyman for a day, one skilled professional shows up, knocks out multiple repairs in one visit. Everything from drywall to ceiling fans changed out, painting, trim work, and so much more. Stop working on your house every weekend. Call the Trusted Toolbox, get your time back, and get it done right the first time. Book your appointment today at thetrustedtoolbox.com.
Epic parties start at Staples. Now you can grab Party City balloons, decorations, and tableware, plus matching custom invites, banners, and more right at Staples. That was easy.
Are you paying too much in taxes? Most people are, and they don't even realize it. Hi, I'm David Nicholas, president of Nicholas Wealth Management. Every year, hardworking individuals and business owners send more money to the IRS than they legally have to. I hate to see it. Not because they did anything wrong, but because the tax code is complex. It's always changing, and it's full of opportunities most people never hear about. So here's the real question. Could you be paying less in taxes? With the right strategy, many people can. Through smarter planning, overlooked deductions, and better retirement and income decisions, you can win in retirement. That's why we're offering a complimentary tax analysis. No cost, no obligation, just a clear look at where you may be overpaying and what you can do about it. Stop guessing, get answers. Call Nicholas Wealth Management 678-990-8500, 678-990-8500, or visit nicholaswealth.com.
Nicholas Wealth Management is an independent financial services firm. This is for informational purposes only and is not specific investment advice.
When I first started using a CPAP, getting supplies and equipment was a horrible hassle. It pretty much stayed that way until I discovered CPAPs, etc.com. Same-day shipping on anything you might need, including travel CPAPs, hoses, masks, you name it. Same-day shipping. CPAPsETC.com or visit their store in Alpharetta. So easy, and you could be preserving your health and saving your life.
Americold Logistics LLC, Atlanta, Georgia, and any unanticipated locations throughout the U.S. seeks an integration architect, job code AC0426. Apply integration architecture design principles to guide and govern integration solutions. Requires masters in electrical engineering, industrial engineering, mechanical engineering, or related, and 3 years of experience in the job as an integration specialist or related occupation performing similar duties. $143,250 to $160,056 per year. Mail resume to Barbara Bishop, 10 Glen Lake Parkway Northeast, South Tower, Suite 600, Atlanta, Georgia 30328.
Hey, listen, it's that Rick Jackson again.
Too often, criminal illegals commit sick, violent crimes. Do that when I'm governor, and you'll end up deported or departed.
Dang. I know, right?
What do you have, Sugar?
I'll take the meatloaf and Rick Jackson for governor.
He's something, ain't he?
Oh, he's tough.
No tolerance for criminal illegals, no woke ideology.
No more do-nothing career politicians.
The man escaped the projects and built one of Georgia's most successful businesses. Plus, he's big-time pro-Trump.
And he wants to cut our property taxes. Like for real.
Shush, y'all. Here comes the good part.
No more free rides for people who refuse to work. You want to sit on your butt, binge watch Netflix, and scarf down Cheetos? Do it with your own money.
Amen to that.
Conservative Rick Jackson for Georgia.
I just love that Cheetos part.
Paid for by Jackson for Governor, Inc.
The biggest candidates in Georgia are live on Extra 106.3 FM.
Greg Dolezal is our guest right here.
The tax code is Swiss cheese, and this tax code is Swiss cheese because we spent the last 10 years giving lobbyists every single thing they asked for, and now that it's election season, we want to give the voters what they asked for. You can't have both. You can't serve two masters, and in this business, you're either going to serve the special interests or you're going to serve the people.
Candidates. The road to victory includes a stop at Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. It is candidate week, and it's getting kicked off by a fireball by the name of Vernon Jones. Vernon running for Secretary of State here in the state of Georgia, and we got off talking about Neil Bortz in the break. And I tell you, it is something else. You have a good relationship with Neil.
Let me tell you, I love Neil. Neil's a great American patriot. Talks a lot of. Can I curse on the radio?
No,
I can't curse on the radio.
no,
He talks a lot of junk. Let's say he talks a lot of junk.
He talks some trash.
Let me say he talks a lot of trash. He's trash talk, but good man. That's my friend Neil. Wherever you are, how in the world are you, Neil?
Yep, and Neil will be joining us tomorrow about 7:25. So we'll present it and see what Neil has to say.
And he doesn't care what party you're in. He's going to call it as he see it.
He tears everybody apart. He's an equal opportunity offender.
Yeah.
A habitual virtual line stepper.
With the exception of me, for some reason, there's some reason why he never talked junk to me. I know why, you know why. I just told you why. Anyhow.
Los, it has to do with airplanes and things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hangers.
So let's get back to the story at hand, the fact that you're running for Secretary of State, and you've laid out all the reasons why. What would you do different? What would you change in the state of Georgia? Because I'm told, Vernon, this is the safest place to vote, and it's the best place to vote. We got nothing to worry about. And early voting has turned out record numbers, which is great. I love that. I want as many people voting, legally voting, that should be. But what would you change? What would you make different here in Georgia to improve it? Because I'm not sure everybody believes it's the safest and most the best place to vote.
Yeah. You know, I would start out by saying this, and I think it's the most important thing is making a statement. Georgia's election are not perfect. Georgia's election is not completely 100% without a shadow of a doubt, without irregularities or errors or mishaps. So when you start that premises, you can say, you know what, we can always continue to make things better. We can always continue to follow up, listen to what people are saying. They're the ones who are voting. They're having these actual experiences, as opposed to blowing them off like what happened in 2020 again. Oh, it was a perfect election. Oh, there was no widespread fraud again. Well, how wide is it wide? That means there was some fraud. They didn't say there was no fraud. But when you're in denial that you're in a perfect situation, then that's the first mistake. Secondly, let's make sure we follow the law. What's on the books? If the law says we're supposed to clean these roads, let's clean these roads. Let's take whatever measure it takes to clean these roads. If the law says that these local election board, if they don't eliminate the QR codes, then we need to hold them accountable because, for example, right now, one of the biggest things going on, think about it. The president did executive order last year, 2025, they said in federal election we will no longer use QR codes. Right now, during early voting right now, there are counties right now that are still using the QR code. Where's accountability there? Also, remember this too, as of July 1st of this year, the Georgia state legislature passed a law that said that you cannot use QR codes past July 1st. But a lot of counties, even right now, are not planning to go to QR codes because they're saying either the legislature didn't give them money or there's some provisions in that law that's ambiguous. They don't understand it. In the meantime, everyone's just sitting on the sideline. Where's the enforcement? Where's the leadership in managing that? So providing good leadership, making sure all these counties are on the same page. We're sending a signal from the Secretary of State's office. Look, we have to be in compliance. Now, if you look at the constitutional, there was a law and opinion, I should say, from a ruling, Kemp versus Pearson, that said that the Secretary of State cannot force local governments or local election officers and boards to follow the law, but you sure can call them out. You sure can bring attention when they're violating it. And so you can't just sit around and say, oh, I can't make them do something. Oh, yeah, you can file a lawsuit and say, hey, they're out of compliance. Do a writ mandamus to hold them accountable. And so I would just make sure that I would send a signal and work with these local governments, these local election officers, make sure that they are following the law to the T. If there are any issues, irregularities, or problems, then let's get them addressed legislatively. Let's go to the legislature. Let's clean this up. That's why it's important to have a good relationship and understand how that legislative body works. And so I want to stay within the law. I want to educate and train as many of these local officers, election officers as possible, provide them leadership, provide them information, make sure we're in accordance with federal and state law. And if I feel as though there's resistance and they're violating the law, I would have no problem filing a lawsuit or, like I said, a writ mandamus to hold them accountable to enforce the law. That's something that's got to be done from day one, and that's what I'll do.
Vernon Jones is our guest in studio running for Secretary of State right here in Georgia on the Morning Extra 106.3. Let's talk about we're in a situation where it feels like our entire election system here in Georgia, I wish there was a simple answer for everybody. We've talked about, well, we've got these voting machines, but then the voting machines, have issues that are going on. We can talk about the paper ballot, but then the paper ballot doesn't solve every single problem because then you worry about voter fraud and how many paper ballots are out there and who they're all being distributed to. How do we have to meld all of these options in order to have the confidence back in our voting?
Well, clearly the confidence has been shattered. Public trust has been shattered, and for rightful reasons. Let me tell you, when you go and indict and prosecute people because they are bringing to your attention that there's some election irregularities, like what we saw happen with Fonnie Willis, what she did was wrong to indict those 19 people. Why? Because they were saying we have election problems, and the folks who actually committed the irregularities or the fraud, they never got indicted. There was no accountability with them, so we do have to restore that. That's why I said earlier that we don't have a perfect system. Dominion, many would tell you there's a lot of issues with Dominion, and many would tell you they want Dominion replaced. Matter of fact, I got one of my opponents say, I'm going to walk in day one, I'm going to terminate that contract. Well, first of all, if you terminate the contract and the legislature hadn't approved the budget to buy new machines, then what you going to do? And can you terminate that contract? You don't even know what the contract espoused. So, but I will say this. We do have to have an election system that's auditable. We have to have an election system that we can actually make sure that every vote was counted and was counted accurately. Is there a perfect system out there? No. Are there some better than some that we have now? Some would tell you yes. But that's why it's incumbent upon the Secretary of State to look and seek out those vendors. And in an RFP process where you're trying to get a new election system, those vendors should be required to go around the state and hold public hearings so the public can understand who's out there, what they're providing. The public can tear any system apart. If you want to check your system, let the public analyze your system. Not the government go ahead and put a system in place. Now y'all go out and vote after the fact, and then they find out all the problems. Do it in reverse. And so I would require that. Many would tell you right now the faith and dominion has been lost. I don't know if that can ever be recouped again. The fact of it is, though, we have to have a system in place that's efficient, that's effective. There's technology out there. Look, we can track a package around the world. And you mean to tell me we can't track and properly have an election system that works? I also want to say this, too. When you look at people are always trying to cut corners or defraud the government or to commit election violations. So you're going to always have to be on your P's and Q's, always looking how you can make it easier to cheat. I should say easier to vote and harder to cheat. That never goes away. So there's no magic bullet out there, but every day you have to take steps towards making sure that this system is a system of integrity. There's auditing that people feel confident that their ballot counts. And some like paper ballots. Many like paper ballots. Because paper ballots right now, if we were to change, you can audit that more so than you can with the current system because you're auditing an image, not the actual watermark paper ballot. And so I got to tell you, the biggest thing in that office we have to do is restore public trust, and you do that by making sure that laws are enforced, people are held accountable, and you have a system in place that's doing what it's supposed to do, but you stay on top of that vendor. You continue to make sure that system is audited day in and day out for accuracy and efficiency.
Vernon Jones running for Secretary of State here in the state of Georgia, part of Candidate Week here on the Morning Xtra. Final question as we wind down, about 60 seconds here. A listener just reached out and wants to know, would you do a forensic audit of the 2020 election? Because there's been audits, right? But it's all counting ballots that should or should not be there. Well, and would you do a forensic audit to
that's one of the first things we need to do is an audit. We have to do that check because people are still concerned because the audits that were done, they were done in counties that did it right or a small random sample amount. We have to have some serious audits done on what happened in 2020 and put it out there, whether it was right or wrong, put it out there, let the people see what happened. Yeah, don't do a cover-up. Many would tell you there's been a cover-up. The drop boxes, think about this. Those drop boxes were never defined in the Constitution as a precinct. The legislature never defined them as a precinct. These drop boxes were drop boxed in by Stacey Abrams and Martin Zuckerberg, and they were left 24/7 several weeks with no supervision at all, which allowed for what? Harvesting the ballots. Now, how is that? How can you say that people can trust something? You've just got a box out there 24/7 and anybody can go and drop ballots in there. What about the 5,000 people registered at one address? Who knows? How do we know that those weren't collected and dropped in that drop box as well? So there are a lot of problems. So in order to fix things going forward, we have to address things on the backside. And one quick thing too,
yes, sir.
It's an insult to say that people suppress, women and blacks are suppressed because they have to have a photo ID. Blacks,
it's insulting.
Or women when they change their name, that's insulting. That is insulting. And so voter ID, most, like you said, 85% of Americans want voter ID.
Vernon, how do folks get a hold of you? How do folks learn more about your candidacy?
You can come to my house. No, I'm just joking. You can meet me here at the studio at Xtra 106.3. No, Vernon Jones, SOS2026.com. That's Vernon Jones, SOS2026.com. I love to hear from everybody. Elections going on right now. Go out and vote right now.
Get out and vote. Absolutely. Vernon Jones, thank you so much for your time. Tug and Los until 10 on Xtra 106.3. But we're going to give you all the biggest candidates. And then at in the 9 o'clock hour, we have Clark Hungerford, who's running for District 1 in Cobb County. Hyper local. We're going to make sure that we touch the people that live right here and around the area where we broadcast at Dickey Broadcasting Company and the Battery, Atlanta. So all that's going on today. It's going to be a busy, busy morning, and I think you're going to leave more informed than maybe you've ever been in an election cycle, knowing where candidates stand on particular issues that you care about. So that's all happening here on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Los and I hosted and moderated a town hall last night.
I just thought about something random. We got to get into the top of the next hour about that event last night.
Because I'm still dissecting it in my own head, just going through trying to remember everything that happened. We'll share it all with you next on Extra 106.3. This is the Morning Extra.
The communists with truth every day on the only conservative news and talk station in Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Hey, this is Los with David from Atlanta, who just purchased his new car with the Honest Car Guy, the new, fully transparent way to buy your next vehicle. David, tell us about your experience.
I had been looking for a vehicle for a couple months. The car buying process was a little challenging at first for me. I had some credit issues in the past, and I just happened to hear a familiar voice on the radio, and it happened to be on the Honest Car Guy ad. I got in touch with Tom. Within 2, maybe 3 days, I had a vehicle being shipped here from Orlando, Florida. I have already recommended him to family members, several friends, and I'll purchase a car from Tom when I make my next purchase for sure.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Have you left the left? Call in and tell us why at 404-741-1230. Now back to the Morning Extra with Tug and Los. The Morning Extra. Glenn Beck, Clay and Buck, and The Kimmer Show on WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. Extra 106.3.
He calls Iran's attacks just a trifle. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. So President Trump says the ceasefire remains in effect despite a flare-up in fighting as they try to work out an end to the conflict.
They have to understand if it doesn't get signed, they're going to have a lot of pain. They're going to have a lot of pain. They want to sign it. I will tell you. They want to sign it a lot more than I do.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson reports from Dubai.
We end the week where it began with U.S. warships under attack in the Strait of Hormuz. But now, for the first time since the ceasefire began last month, the U.S. launched a counterattack ashore. Here's President Trump describing the action.
They were firing at us and we were firing back at them.
For now, the blockade remains. More than 1,500 ships remain stuck.
There is a report on Iran state media today that they've seized an oil tanker. Oil prices are down a little bit. At the gas pump, a big spike in the last 2 weeks, but today a 1 cent decline. Tennessee is the latest red state to approve congressional redistricting to help Republicans win more House seats in the November elections.
Ahead of the vote, protesters chanted in the House, and a state senator got up on a desk holding a sign that said, "No Jim Crow 2.0, stop the Tennessee steal." Democratic lawmakers gave impassioned speeches about how the redistricting map would box out black voters.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Democrats have countered with redistricting in other states. A guilty plea in court in Colorado on a firebombing attack last June in Boulder on a group of people out demonstrating in support of the Israeli hostages held by Hamas in Gaza. One woman was killed, a dozen others injured. Mohammed Solomon faces life in prison. And there's a similar story out of California.
Luai El-Naji pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter and battery in the 2023 death of 69-year-old Paul Kessler. Prosecutors in Ventura County say the 53-year-old former college professor was protesting the Israel-Hamas war in support of Palestinians when he hit Kessler, a Jewish counter-protester, with a megaphone. Kessler fell back and hit his head on the pavement. He later died at a hospital.
That's Fox's Kristen Goodwin. America's listening to Fox News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Search for the Extra 106.3 app wherever you download apps by searching XTRA 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station.
I needed this song this morning. I ain't gonna lie. I needed it.
You need it any time, man.
That's why, yes. That's right. If I'm being completely honest, yes. That's right. I listen to Unskinny Bob any day of the daggum week. Come on.
So jumping.
Why can't you stand still? We can't stand still because we're working so much.
That's right.
We've been at it this week. I mean, I'm so proud of what we've done, and you know, I'm not, and I know you're not either. It's not like I'm starved for recognition. Like, I'm not begging for, you know, compliments or anything. But I do want to know when things have gone well. I want to know that we've hit the mark. You know, I want to know that when somebody's listening to the show, they go, yeah, that's exactly what I was looking for.
I'll just point it out this way. You know how there's a lot of people that'll ask you for a Google review?
Yes.
And typically, like for me, I'm like, scan the barcode, 5-star, hey, thank you. All right, that doesn't really happen in our business.
Not often.
We don't get a whole lot of immediate feedback. And so that week, obviously this week has been very different. The event that we were part of last night, where we were the moderators for the Congressman Dr. Rich McCormick Town Hall that we were invited to a couple of months ago, and it just I don't know. I wasn't fretting it. I wasn't scared of it at the same time.
But I know what to expect.
It's different from anything you and I have ever done.
That's exactly. I had no idea what to expect. And to be honest, you know, when we started doing this like 5 years ago, I would have never guessed that would be part of the evolution of this, you know, this thing that we're doing. The station, Extra 106.3, and the reach that it has, and the people that it talks to, and you know, the impact, frankly, the impact that it makes. And I'm still sometimes surprised by that, Los.
I feel like I've taken, between my interest in listening to Kimmer and listening to Bortz over the years, and listening to Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh, you know, I feel like I've gotten this large amount of schooling in what I like and what I dislike about this radio format. But one of the best things that we've gotten over the last 6 years is I know when to spot something where I go, okay, I know what direction this is going. I've heard this before. Last night, the last question that we had during the town hall, a young woman, I would say probably early 20s or so, you know, right around there, socially active, obviously, and politically active, stood up, read from her phone, asked a question. And first off, when you start reading from your phone, I'm like, you've thought about it, you want to make sure to ask a question, you have it prepared. Okay, fine. She starts talking about how when she is driving around, she drives around with her passport because she doesn't want to be deported, because people like her who look like her have been deported. There was a moment where, and Dr. Rich, keeping his cool, never said anything. In Tug and I's world, the first question would have been, were you here legally?
I mean, what is it that you're...
Are you an American citizen?
Right. What is it that you're frightened of? There's nothing that makes me go, well, my goodness, I'm afraid to drive around. I'm afraid that when I get pulled over, I'm going to be deported. Because that was one of the things that some of the lefty loonies down front were, they're deporting American citizens. And
they're deporting American citizens.
What are you talking about?
They're deporting those that are waiting on their trials.
Yes, that's right.
I was like, well, we've also determined that when you come in and you claim economic asylum, that is perhaps the most bogus,
totally bogus
type of asylum that is being called out. It's just there's a difference in, I'm trying to protect my country. I'm trying to protect its wealth. I'm trying to protect its safety. And now I have people down in front that they're only interested in political power, because illegals only result in political power due to the census. That's right. It.
Yeah, and Dr. McCormick actually explained that to them.
It didn't matter.
No, of course it didn't matter. Of course not. Did not. But yeah, that was the thing. And the lady talked about her family being undocumented, and you know have been here, and it was one of the...
She said, we're paying taxes and we're doing it. And in my mind, there was part of me that wanted to, because again, I'm a cruel, heartless bastard when it comes to protecting my country, and I'm a bad person.
And,
I wanted to say,
you have to be these days.
Why haven't they applied before?
What took so long?
Because if you're, quote, living in the shadows, then what you're doing is you're taking advantage of the American citizens, the American taxpayer, and you are making a contribution to the community. At the same time, you're not playing by the rules of that everyone else is.
That's right. Absolutely right. And what are you doing? What have you been doing to rectify the situation? Right? If you want it to be right, if you don't want to have to live that way, then do it the right way.
Again, all things that Dr. Rich McCormick, as a guy who was looking to be the centrist in the room, was addressing in a non-emotional fashion, whereas Tug and I are over there going, hey, where's the rest of your family?
Right.
I'm gonna make some phone calls.
It was, but it was a full-on heartstrings moment. We don't want to follow the law. We're not going to do that. But we want you to feel bad for us. We want to put you in a position in front of all these people to hear my story and feel bad about it and have to react to it and respond to it without having been able to think about it at all.
It was amazing how often that you had these people on the left that would either create a story or they would have a particular version of a story. Like, as we talked about to open up the show, the gentleman who got up there and said, I'm a small business owner.
Yep.
These gas prices are killing me. I have 2 young ones. And I'm like, okay, let's see where this goes. Maybe it's about tax breaks. Maybe this is about the economic situation. He suddenly goes, and so when are we going to get the full release of the Epstein files?
That's right. Just a hard left. You know?
It's like, well...
And Dr. McCormick,
sugar, they're already out there, and they ain't helping you.
That's right. Absolutely right. And there's not anything left. And that's what the congressman said.
Notice, by the way, in social media and then the rest of the world, the Epstein files were left for dead more than about 2 months ago.
Yeah. You've not heard MS Now talking about it at all.
In fact, Melania Trump was the one who ended it by saying, let these victims testify in front of Congress. That was the moment where every single one of them scattered and ran for the hills.
Pulled up the emergency brake quick. And no more conversation.
Yeah, are there victims? Yes. But the ones that had been front and center with this, those were the ones that were adults that were recruiting younger women or other adults for Epstein.
That's never being discussed. That's never getting brought
being
up.
Discussed.
Because if they were to, it would all of a sudden make people that hadn't known that feel differently about the whole scenario and the whole situation.
And for my leftist friends out there, or for those of you that have heard this story, when it came to Ghislaine Maxwell, the 4 women they used to testify against her, the reason why they didn't use any of the rest of them that you see grandstanding at Congress or anywhere else is because they knew they had committed crimes. They had recruited. So the 4 that remain nameless, those women have never shown up anywhere claiming victimhood status or we need our day in court. They got their day in court. They put her away for 20 years in part because, Epstein was already dead. And so these other ones, I guess the term they use these days are grifters. Yeah. As soon as Melania Trump was like, well, come testify in front of Congress, they're like, nope, see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Crickets.
They're running away like Skeletor.
That's exactly.
We'll see you later.
Yeah. What's that meme? Yeah, that's right. It's always some wacky something. And it's like, until we meet again.
Until we meet again.
So good, dude. I've fallen in love with those, by the way. I'm not trying to derail us, but I laugh at those so hard for some reason.
Those are good ones.
I think it's just so nostalgic because I used to love that TV show. I used to love the cartoon He-Man. It was the greatest. Until we meet again. So good. I thought it was interesting, too, because Dr. McCormick has talked about his vote on TPS. He made it clear, look, I know this is not going to get through the Senate. Donald Trump's not. We said that the day before we had him on, because if you remember, we had the conversation about his vote on the Haitian immigrants receiving temporary protected status or having that extended because that was created under Joe Biden. And we talked about him knowing that it wasn't going to move. So he was able to vote his conscience knowing that, look, nothing's going to happen with this. But there was a lawyer, and he was, I want to say, a lawyer for DHS, and he said, "Look, I'm speaking on my own. This is a conversation that I want to have with you." And he really disagreed. He's like, "Congressman, I saw what you posted. I heard what you said with those guys on the radio. I just still disagree with you. I understand, that this is something that means something to you, but I still vehemently disagree." And they had a really in-depth exchange. And you talked about this when we opened up the show, how sometimes you have to just step back, especially when it comes to policy, because I just don't know it. And that lawyer was a really smart guy and a Republican. Dr. McCormick, a really smart guy and clearly well-educated. But to listen to them volley back and forth was pretty darn impressive, especially with that guy coming prepared and Dr. McCormick being off the cuff.
That was one of the moments before that. Not that anything ever lost civility, because
no, definitely
Tug and I weren't going to put up with it. I mean, we were flat out telling you, like, "Hey, you need to hush up."
Yeah, come on now.
Come on now. Ha! But during that exchange, what it was a different interpretation of the law. Right. And when it came to Congressman Dr. Rich McCormick, he was talking about how he had consulted with the Trump administration. He's like, "I had my staff look into it. This is the way that they had perceived. This is how it was going to go. And so here's what I made my decision off of." Now, the lawyer, speaking for himself, not speaking for the organization, had a different view of it. Well, at that point, it's your opinion versus how the Trump administration saw it. And so, Dr. Rich McCormick is basically saying, "Hey, listen, I was going to vote my conscience based off of how the Trump administration saw it. Just because you see it different, am I supposed to consult you? No, I went to the administration.
I went to the top of the ladder." And that was his explanation.
He's like, "I went to the top of the ladder based on they're the ones instituting this policy, and this is how they see it. So I made my judgment off of that." And so that was the point where Tug and I are like, "There's nothing."
Yeah, I can't add anything here. Yeah.
Outside of just pointing out, I was like, when this came down, I was like, the congressman, and we had put in the request. I go, he was on the radio show within 24, 48 hours. I was like, how often does that happen?
And they reached out specifically for him to address that, because he knew people were going to have issue with it. And people were going to be upset with him about it. And you can still be upset. He's fine with it. He said, "I understand if you dislike what I did there." And if there's things, as I've been a congressman for now 4 years, I'm sure there's plenty of things that you don't like that I've done, whether you voted for me or not. But this is the thing that impressed me the most. He said, "Get with my staff. I want you to come into the office and let's sit down face to face and discuss this and go through this. I want you to understand why I did what I did and the information that I got from the Trump administration." He extended the olive branch, man. He said, "This is it. Come in, let's sit down, so it's not in front of all these people and taking up the majority of the time." And he did that a couple times, Los. He said he invited people, "Hey, meet me at the district office."
Yeah, there was a couple of those. There were some veterans that had concerns about, and imagine that have concerns about working with the VA. That was a regular deal within that room for our veterans, which is incredibly frustrating. And in this case, the discussion point was how, if you happen to be working at an area that has had chemical issues and your treatment and what ends up happening to you is delayed after you leave the armed services, how difficult it is for it to be acknowledged by the VA. And so I get that. Like, that was a conversation where, as Dr. Rich McCormick was bringing up, hey, he served at Camp Lejeune, and that's one of the places where we've had those issues. Tug is somebody who's had to mess around with VA benefits and going this ain't worth it.
It's tough.
That sort of stuff is where I think you get your congressman involved. And again, not to reduce any of the leftist point of view, but at a certain point, as I joked around about it, if you don't like the War Powers Act and you don't like how it's been used, mostly by Donald Trump, they don't care when Obama goes and bombs, Libya for 9 months.
Totally fine.
That's when they have a problem. I said, in my mind, raise some money, get into Congress, go find 217 friends.
That's right. And change it. Change it. Yeah, but
sounds simple, right?
It's
Raise
totally,
some money, get into Congress, find 217 friends, go change it.
Totally, and of course they'll poo-poo that too. They're not going to waste the time because it's just easier to complain. They're not going to do any of that. It is just easier to call out and yell and scream and holler and act fool.
I'm just glad that the stuff that you and I talk about on this show, we got it right in front of our face for almost a full 2 hours, and I was like, it's like it does exist.
It's like the Eminem singing Santa Claus. It does exist.
He does exist.
I love it. Absolutely right. Hey, quickly before we take a break here, we're getting into Burt Jones, who's running for governor in the state of Georgia. The numbers for the gubernatorial candidates for folks coming to our digital platform to see are off the charts, low. So that's really cool. So
awesome.
Give you a chance to hear, if you've not heard from Burt Jones, to hear from the man. The two leading contenders, I would say, in at least in the gubernatorial race. So here in just a second, Burt Jones. But I want to give away these Back Our Blue in America 2 tickets. May 16th, Rustics Manor in Holly Springs. Great gala honoring fallen police officer Joe Burson. Dinner, drinks, live music, silent auction, carriage rides, hot air balloon rides. They're doing the Rustic Preakness, a horse race around the property while viewing the actual Preakness there on big screen TVs at Rustics Manor. And they're doing a new scholarship in Officer Joe Burson's name, and plus the rest of the benefit will be for the Holly Springs and Cherokee County Police Foundations. You can get tickets at Back Our Blue in America 2 TOO.com. Or you can win some right now. And when you win them on the Morning Xtra, you get a commemorative whiskey glass and a special edition Back Our Blue in America 2 Challenge coin. Caller 5 at 404-741-1230. 404-741-1230. This is the Morning Xtra.
Stream Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station while you work at Extra1063.com. Get the latest from the Morning Xtra, The Kimmer Show, and Neil Bortz, and stay connected at the office. That's XTRA1063.com.
One of the hardest things to do is to walk away from a paycheck. As retirement planners, Masterplan knows how hard it can be to pull the trigger on your own retirement. Don't go it alone. Masterplan is a holistic retirement planning firm that works with you to create a retirement plan to help maximize your golden years. Through income planning and money management, legacy planning, and tax planning, we create a plan specifically designed for your life. Enter retirement with confidence. Contact Masterplan to analyze your retirement outlook and create a plan that's right for you. All initial consultations are complimentary, so contact us today and begin your pursuit towards peace of mind. Visit masterplanretire.com. Masterplan Retirement Consultants. Plan well and prosper.
Advisory services offered through Masterplan Retirement Consultants Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates Inc., DBA Masterplan Retirement Consulting. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
You hear bail bonds and you think one thing: someone to get you out of a jam. But A Second Chance Bail Bonds is built differently. This family-run team, led by brothers Daniel and Ryan Madelon, believes everyone deserves a second chance. And they prove it every day through the A Second Chance Community Foundation. They support local nonprofits, partner with law enforcement, and stay active in community programs, food drives, and safety initiatives. Bottom line, they don't just work in the community, they're part of it. Learn more at a2cfoundation.org. That's a2cfoundation.org.
Atlanta's a world-class golf city. But let's be honest, sometimes Mother Nature has other plans. Lightning storms, summer heat that feels like a sauna. There's got to be a better way to play golf on days like that. That's why there's Atlanta Golf and Social, your indoor golf escape on the West End just off the Beltline. Step into the bay and experience TrackMan Tracer technology. Dial in your swing data and unlock your scoring potential. Whether you're a weekend golfer or a daily driver, join the club and enjoy unlimited golf with flexible memberships. Then head into the Clubhouse Pub, open for lunch through late night. Chef Zeus leads a craft kitchen serving fresh farm-to-table dishes with global flavors and healthy ingredients, all paired with a full bar of cold beers, curated wines, and handcraft cocktails. Atlanta Golf and Social has everything for golfers of every level to enjoy, and it's family-friendly too, perfect for parties. It's one of Atlanta's premier spots for corporate outings and private events for up to 100 guests. Book your visit and learn more at atlantagolfandsocial.com.
Hey, it's Front Office Los with Tom, the honest car guy. Let's talk about the new way to buy a car in 2026. Tell me how you can save clients thousands of dollars in this process.
I got a customer here, Jeff Everhart. I met him today first time because I delivered his 25 model Honda Pilot, fully loaded with only 16,000 miles on it. Jeff, answer Los's question about that one.
It was actually shocking. I mean, you hear the advertisements, you want to believe it, and then when you go through with the sale, and there's no extras, there's no dock fees, there's no storage fees, no transportation fees. The price I was given was the price that I paid plus their honest fee. I did save thousands of dollars, and it was a very quick sale.
Well, we appreciate that.
And did it from my living room.
Did it from your living room.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME-1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Calling all contractors. Stovall & Company Wholesale Landscape Supply is here for you.
We've been family owned and operated for more than 75 years, and we just opened our 11th location in Canton, Georgia.
We are proud to provide all your wholesale irrigation, nursery, and landscape supply needs.
We are partnered with Keystone Hardscape to offer a wide variety of products to enhance any outdoor living space.
Here at Stovall, we have it all. Check us out at StovallInc.com or visit any of our convenient locations throughout North Georgia.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Friday, May 8th, and here are your headlines. President Donald Trump paused Project Freedom less than a day after launching it, saying progress is being made towards a peace deal involving Iran. U.S. Central Command says American forces intercepted Iranian missiles and drones targeting commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, while Iran also launched attacks towards multiple U.S. Navy vessels. President Trump warned Iran would face a, quote, lot of pain if a nuclear deal is not reached. Despite heavy rain returning to parts of Georgia this week, drought conditions across the state remain unchanged. Some metro counties picked up more than 3 inches of rain, but the NOAA says Metro Atlanta still needs roughly another foot of rainfall to fully end the drought. Forecasters say it could take several more major soaking rain events before conditions significantly improve. And finally, Candidate Week wraps up today on Extra 106.3. Clark Hungerford from the Cobb County Commission District 1 will join us later this morning at 9:25. And in case you missed any of our conversations throughout the week with Vernon Jones, Greg Dolezal, Burt Jones, and Rick Jackson, you can watch them all right now on the Extra 106.3 YouTube or listen to them on the Extra 106.3 app. Today's weather is a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 76 and a low of 59. With your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Colbert.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3, joined by gubernatorial candidate for the state of Georgia, Burt Jones. Thank you so much for making time for the Extra 106.3 listeners this morning.
Oh, it's great to be here, guys. Good morning. Hope y'all doing well. And I brought some swag for you here today, man.
I just enjoy you coming in hot. It's like I know your staff has been like, all right, he's going to be here in a couple minutes. You roll right in. You're like, I got swag. I recognize what you're wearing. This is great. Let's go and do this.
He called out the Aldine hat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Jason's a good dude, isn't he?
Oh, man, he's my guy. I like that guy.
I know. He's taking care of you quite a bit through the lieutenant governor's race, and then a big fundraiser over here at the Roxy.
Yeah,
I know y'all grew up together. That's the connection, right?
Well, no, he's from Macon, Georgia. I've known his family a long time. But we grew up in the same area, and but I've known him when he was just trying to make it.
Yeah, 14-year-old played in bars.
Yeah, he was he spent 10 years in Nashville, Tennessee, and on the day right before he signed his first record deal, he literally called his dad and said, "Hey, I'm coming home. I don't think this is working out."
What a story!
And the next day they called him, and then everything, the rest is history. So
10 years to be an overnight success. That's what they say in Nashville, Tennessee. But Bert, so many people have so much interest in this race, and with good reason. Los was talking to a friend about it yesterday.
I've got a good friend of mine, and she had brought up when she's if Tug and I are like a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10 in like Georgia politics, this person's like an 11. Okay, like that is what they pay attention to. And what she was bringing up with me was, hey, I'm leaning towards Burt Jones, but I feel like I don't know enough about him yet, and so that's why we were so glad to get you in here. Have you felt like, as you know, you've got the right endorsements, you've got the history in the state of Georgia, what have you felt like you've been having to explain to the voters so they know even more about you?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. Look, I've been one of those guys that's always been a consistent, common sense conservative, and everything I've done. I probably have not been as boisterous about my accomplishments through the years as I probably should. I'm one of those people. I just kind of put my head down, try to do the right thing, and then go about the day. I don't get on Twitter and Instagram and everything else and say, rah, rah, look at me, this is what I did. But look, I've been consistent on cutting taxes, cutting regulations, trying to improve our education system by giving parents more choices when we pass school choice, which is something that's been tried for 20 years. But also we passed a literacy bill for our public school systems. And so I've had a real heavy focus on education, economic opportunities, and all these things. But I will tell you, the biggest thing, number one, I feel like the tide has turned for us. We're not asking so many questions, answering so many questions right now. I think people, the last week and a half, we've had a lot of momentum, and it seems like everybody who was with us early on has come back to us with us and might have started looking at some other candidates. Now they're coming back to us, which is a good thing. But really, I'm having to explain all these lies that have been told about me. I mean, I've literally had $100 million spent against me, and this morning I woke up and it said there was a commercial on that said Burt Jones releases illegal gang members from jail, and I'm just like, what? And I was like, look, I couldn't even get you out of a speeding ticket, let alone jail.
I was going to try that next, actually.
Exactly. That's exactly.
So that's it's been very frustrating because there's been so much misinformation put out there about myself and my track record. I mean, they've been attacking my family and everything else. And end of the day, I'd rather talk about the issues. I think the voters would rather hear about the issues. But obviously, you have to defend yourself every once in a while.
No doubt.
Spend so much money.
Yeah, candidate Burt Jones joining us on the Morning Extra, running for governor in the state of Georgia. What happened in Indiana with the redistricting up there has got to jump off the page to everybody here in the state of Georgia. Sure. I know the scenario is very different, and we've talked to a lot of different people saying that would need to be an emergency session called here in the state of Georgia. How do you see this playing out? Is this something that you feel like we need to get on right now, or is it because early voting has already started, this is going to be difficult? If you were sitting in the governor's seat right now, what would you do?
Look, I do believe that we do need to redistrict, number one. However, we have started early voting, and we're sitting here, just a week out, just a few days out, I guess now. And so early voting has already started. It'd be very difficult to do it. But I do think after the primaries are over with that we should consider, calling a special session and looking at, we got to look at a couple things, tell you the truth, because we got a Secretary of State that's going to be out of compliance come July 1 with the current voting system, even though he's had 2 years to do exactly what we told him to do as far as getting rid of the QR codes. So we're probably going to have to go into special session to fix that, and we might look at redrawing the maps there. But it would be a very difficult thing for us to, from a personal standpoint, because it feels like I have momentum. I would hate to get kind of a delay or timeout called on the thing, because I feel like we've got a lot of good momentum right now, and this is the time you want to have it right here in the home stretch.
Candidate Burt Jones is our guest candidate for governor right here in the state of Georgia. Let's talk about cutting taxes, because that's a big part of your platform. But one of the questions that's been put to us is property taxes. Mm-hmm. And there's a history with your office of what you have endorsed, and then other areas where you said, hey, I don't know if that's going to really work for Georgians. What is your stance when it comes to, if you're governor, what would you look for when it comes to those property taxes, which becomes such a huge topic here in Georgia, obviously in Florida and around the country?
Sure. No, absolutely. Look, I tell people all the time that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. So you can cut income tax and cut property taxes all at the same time. We capped property taxes earlier this year in session, and we're going to, I would like to see us approach it just like we have the income tax. We do it very methodically and make sure that we're not just doing a knee-jerk reaction and then all of a sudden get a big hole in your budget. But on the property taxes, one simple thing that we could do is, number one, on your homestead exemption, you get $2,000 for your homestead exemption from the state. That was put in place in 1937, and it's never been updated. Do you know why it was $2,000 in 1937?
I have no idea.
Because that was the average price of a house.
Okay.
So the intention was never never for people to pay property taxes, quite frankly, when they got put in place. So I think you would raise the homestead exemption up to at least the average price of a home. Could be $100,000, could be $150,000, and that immediately will give people a huge savings. And then long term, I think eliminating property taxes for homeowners would be the ideal situation for us to be in.
I saw one of the other candidates is running for governor in this race talk about eliminating taxes for people moving to Georgia. I would stop me in my tracks. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Because down in Florida, Ron DeSantis is talking about, "Hey, we're going to make sure that people because we don't have a property tax, we're going to." We don't have an income tax. We're going to make sure that people that move here actually have to pay it for a while because we're not going to let them live on the backs of hardworking Floridians.
Right.
So how do you respond when you see something like that? Because it seems so outlandish that somebody would even say it.
Yeah, well, you got to consider the source where it came from, and I think that would be a terrible idea. That's almost, it's kind of like that's the reason why I'm against these big corporate giveaways for outside groups. I'm always like, look, we need to if we're going to invest in companies, let's invest with the guys who are here. Let's invest with the operations that are doing well here in the state and would like to expand, but paying individuals to come here or not taxing people, the individuals, tax everybody else who's been here generations. I'm like, I thought that was a terrible idea. So but like I said, it considers the source. I think it's Brad Rathensberger, wasn't it?
That's exactly right. I wasn't going to say it, but since you did, yes, that's the answer. Lowe's and I talked about it this morning. I just couldn't believe, I couldn't physically wrap my head.
Hold on a second. Okay, all right. We'll see how that works. Candidate for governor Burt Jones is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. Let me also ask about income taxes because to our north, Tennessee, they don't deal with it. Florida doesn't deal with it. But, let's be realistic. You can't blow up the budget. You still have to get stuff paid for. Sure. How do you see that resolving itself in the state of Georgia where we kind of have hopefully a melding of the two, the responsibility of what Tennessee's doing and what Florida's doing, but create that economic environment for Georgia's moving forward?
Well, sure. Well, I'm always about wanting to put money back in people's pocket because every individual and company knows how to spend their money better than the government does. So we have lowered the state income tax 4 years in a row, and we've done it. We've done it responsibly. We've done it gradually, but we have been able to accomplish it by either cutting spending or looking at different ways of things that we don't need to invest with necessarily. So what you have currently, the income tax brings in $14 billion essentially, and we've doled out over $30 billion worth of tax credits and tax incentives over the last 20 years. We're going to start by eliminating a lot of those tax credits and incentives. Obviously, even my UGA math says if I got $30 billion over here and I need to get to $14 billion,
let me ask you this: what do they apply to? Because I know one of the things we've talked about, obviously, the Hollywood and the movie industry has been one that received tax credits. Some of it has been the e-vehicle industry, and then some of the talk has been about data centers. Where would those moves be
literally
made?
Pages. You would be amazed at how many tax credits. And some of them are larger, like the movie tax credits, affordable housing tax credits, but some of them are smaller, $2 million. $10 million tax credits, and those add up over time. And when you literally have hundreds of them to address, there's plenty there that don't make sense anymore from an economic standpoint, from a job standpoint, from a rate of return, whatever it might be. It's just padding the bottom line of organizations, and so we don't need to be in the business of just padding the line of government. So those would be the first ones that we would get rid of, and essentially ratchet it down. I'd like to see us get to zero in my first term, and so 4 years is what we've said we could do. We put a plan in place earlier this year, and that illustrated how we could get there over a 5-year period. We ended up going with we had 2 tax cuts. One was a little more aggressive than the other. We ended up going with the less aggressive one, but still at the same time, in the last 4 years we've cut into it by over 20% as far as reducing it. And like I said, we'd like to see it get to zero. And you can, but you got to be responsible about it. We don't want to do like what Kansas did. They tried to do it in 1 year, blew a hole in the budget. Everybody got beat over it. I think they even have a Democratic governor right now because of it in Kansas. That's like ruby red out there, So, but like I said, there is a way to do it. You just want to be responsible about doing it. But the tax credits and incentives will be the first things we would address.
Yeah, when I see tax credits for like Hollywood and Rivian and places, immediately I'm turned off as a voter. I don't want to see any of that stuff. What I do want to see is small business be taken care of. Small business is the backbone of the United States. Small business is the backbone of the state of Georgia. Maybe speak to small business owners how you would help them versus Hollywood, versus the Rivians out there.
Well, it's funny you say that because it's a whole different way of looking at things. Because look, I've got a business myself, and I know the cost of doing business has jumped astronomically really since COVID. We never have really come back down to pre-COVID pricing. That's both as retailers, wholesalers, whatever you want to call it. So, and a lot of it has to do with insurance costs right now. Insurance costs is absolutely hammering companies right now, especially if you have any kind of motor vehicle exposure. If you have trucks, if you have, it doesn't matter, vans, whatever it is, if you have any kind of vehicle exposure, your cost of insurance is crippling in some cases. So we need to address things like how insurance companies are whether hold them accountable, for their rates and rate increases that they try to do on our small businesses and individuals. Quite frankly, also you need to look at the legal system. How many frivolous lawsuits are going on up there which are helping drive the insurance costs? It's really a three-legged stool. You've got the legal environment right here. You've got insurance companies who are always going to get they're going to get theirs. They might spread it out over all the policyholders, but they're going to get their money back one way or the other. And then you've got basically the medical apparatus so you end up getting hurt or perceived to get hurt, you go to the emergency room, they send us outrageous bills to the insurance company starts
now we go round and round.
Then we get the lawyers involved, and they start bickering with one another, and who ends up losing is the consumer. And that's something that we've got to be very conscious of, and we cannot ignore it. We ignored it for too long. For the last 20 years, we have ignored really holding those entities accountable, whether it's on surprise billing, on medical emergency or hospital visits, or it's on just the insurance costs and how they continue to go up on their rates or don't pay claims, and then you add in the frivolous lawsuits and everything else. I think the trial lawyers are a little jealous right now because I've been on TV more than Morgan & Morgan here lately, and so I don't even think they can get airtime in there.
Candidate for Governor Burt Jones is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. Let's talk about that endorsement, because you are endorsed by the President of the United States, and we saw how that played out in Indiana with the 5 people that challenged the incumbents that were Donald Trump and administration backed. What has that meant for you on the trail to be able to tell people the President of the United States backs my candidacy?
Sure. Oh, look, it's huge. I mean, it's a great honor to be endorsed by the president. He not only endorsed me for this race, he endorsed me when I was running for lieutenant governor. He actually called me last night.
Wow, really? Yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's jump into that one. Was this a 2 a.m. call? Because he's known for like the late night calls.
It was 10:30, 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And I just gotten home, and I'm sitting there and talking to my wife Jan, and all of a sudden I'm getting ready to put my phone down, and I put literally the moment I put it down, all of a sudden this starts ringing, and it goes Donald J. Trump, and I go, oh man, president's calling. Hold on. So anyways, I answered it. He wanted to know how the race was going. He wanted to know what he could do to help, and I said, look, we're in the home stretch right now. I know your schedule probably wouldn't allow you to come down here for a rally, but I'd love for you to do one of these telehall, town hall meetings. Yeah, excuse me. And so he was like, yeah, absolutely, let's do it. And I go, when would you like to do it? He goes, let's do it tomorrow night. So tonight, and I've got to get the time and everything. I wish I had that time, but we will be putting that out on our social media platforms, what time that will be. And I look forward to having him on, because obviously a lot of these guys I'm running against, they've been trying to act like they're the Trump candidates. He's had to endorse me 3 different times to combat that. And he's like, no, I want to speak directly to the voters, so let's do it right away. So, he gave me my instructions, get in touch with so-and-so, and let's get it on the calendar for tomorrow, or tonight, actually.
By the way, when you do get that phone call, is that a hold for the president, or is that directly like where you're like, okay, that's...
You're like, it's him on the other line.
No, it's him on the other line.
Wow, that's wild.
His cell phone. Yeah.
It's not, because as bad as the media treats the president, all of them say he calls them.
Oh, yeah.
Or they'll reach out to him. If they have any question or concern, they'll reach out to him, and then they just berate him continually and talk about him being an authoritarian. I was like, that's the worst authoritarian I've ever seen, that you can pick up the phone and call the king.
Let me tell you, he's really one of the most personal people you ever want to be around. He's fun to be around. He likes to ask you questions. He listens to what you're saying. He's engaging. He likes to talk some smack, which is fun. I mean, he's a guy's guy. Just be honest with with you. And I've had the opportunity to be with him on many occasions. And, like last time he was in town in Rome, I rode in the Beast with him, and we talked about everything from what was going on in Iran to NIL, and he's like, Bert, what do you think we should do about NIL? And I was like,
well, obviously you got a football history,
That's right.
and so and he's going to the right people. He's going to Coach Saban and other people with a football background to I think to get his hands around the entire issue.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And we talked about it because obviously NIL is going to end up destroying college football if they don't get their arms around it. But back to the president. That's just the kind of person he is. He'll ask anybody what their opinion is on things because he actually wants to hear from everyday people who are just out here walking around and living and listening to what everybody else is saying. And I think that's really how he stays so in tune to what the American public wants.
When we come back on Extra 106.3, take a short break. That way you can get actually a sip of your coffee and get ready to do the other half. Affordability is a big issue. Sure. How are you going to tackle that? Because I know the president, he understands that going into the midterms, affordability is a big issue. I think the economy, you can see the positive growth. I hope people understand what is actually happening and how you would tackle that here on the state front. As we talk to Burt Jones, running for governor in the state of Georgia, here on Extra 106.3. We'll be back in 2 minutes.
Extra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 8th. A measuring stick weekend out on the West Coast as the Atlanta Braves open up a 3-game series tonight against the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Braves ace Chris Sale will be on the mound tonight. He'll be opposed by Emmett Sheehan. First pitch is set for 10:10 tonight. You can hear all the game action on our sister station, 680 The Fan, and free on the Fan app. A pair of Game 3s in the association tonight as well. The Philadelphia 76ers host the New York Knicks. Philly down 2-0 in that series. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock. Then later in the evening from Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves host the San Antonio Spurs. That series is tied at a game apiece. That tip-off is set for 9:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
For more local sports, head over to The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. And for the latest political news and talk, stick with Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Great, another auto repair. You took it to the dealer and now you're starting to panic. They say it's going to cost thousands and take weeks to complete. So don't fall for the tricks. Take it to Vicks. From simple oil changes and tires to transmission replacements and collision repair, you can count on Vicks Auto Care for honest, affordable service. Vicks Auto Care on Roswell Street in Marietta. Visit them today at VicksAutoCare.com. That's VIKS Autocare.com.
A golf instructor who knows technique can improve an aspiring pro's swing. But one who really cares can help transform a career.
There he is, your new champion.
When you team up with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial bank.
Your yard, it stresses you out. Between the watering, the seeding, the weeding, and mowing. And no matter what you do, you're never satisfied. Have you thought about artificial turf? It's low maintenance, it's pet friendly, and it looks amazing all year round. Those in the know use ATL Turf Go. ATL Turf Go is Atlanta's top choice for artificial grass installation. Let them build you a backyard of your dreams with a custom golf or putting green, outdoor kitchen or pool deck. They even specialize in custom concrete and stonework. They handle everything from design and grading to construction and drainage solutions. So whether it's residential lawns or recreational sports fields, ATL Turf Go can build you a stress-free space you'll love. So say goodbye to mowing, maintenance, and your wasted weekends. Learn more and schedule your free in-home consultation today. Call ATL Turf Go, 678-403-2339. That's 678-403-2339. Or visit atlturfco.com.
For 250 years, Americans have believed in one powerful idea. We were meant to live free. Free to pursue our future, work hard, free to move, free to enjoy life without being held back. But if everyday aches and pains are slowing you down, it might be time to declare your independence from pain. I tried everything and anything to help me get rid of my pain, and nothing freed me. It just masked the pain, and the side effects diminished my quality of life. I'm sure you have been there if you have real bad pain. Relief Factor is a 100% drug-free, research-based formula that is designed to help your body fight inflammation, one of the root causes of pain. And it is not a quick fix or a temporary mask. It works from the inside out, at the source. Relief Factor. It was created for people to get back to living their life on their terms. Is that you? Walking, working, exercising, enjoying the moments that matter? This year, as we celebrate 250 years of American independence, take your stand for your own freedom. Declare your independence from pain. Try Relief Factor today. 1995, 3-week quick start. Ready for you right now. Visit relieffactor.com, 800-4-RELIEF.
A journey from alone and abandoned to one of the most successful businessmen in Georgia history. Conservative Rick Jackson.
I spent Christmas Eve alone in a children's home. When I woke up, a Good Samaritan had left me $100.
Rick Jackson knows what it's like to go without. That's why he'll fight the career politicians who talk about cutting income taxes and property taxes, but always fail.
Unlike career politicians, I know how some extra money can change everything. That's why I'll freeze your property taxes and slash the income tax in half.
Conservative businessman Rick Jackson will deliver major property tax relief that failed career politicians never will.
I'll get you a boatload of your money back, or I won't run again. It's as simple as that.
No more waiting and wavering from career politicians. It's time for real tax relief. Rick Jackson for Georgia. Paid for by Rick Jackson for Governor, Inc.
Proud to have Burt Jones in the studio this morning on the Morning Extra on Extra 1063. Lieutenant Governor currently running for governor has the endorsement of Donald Trump, and we'll be doing a town hall with President Trump.
Yeah, the plan is there will be a telehall now as it stands because the president called you last night about this. Just trying to get it firmed up, whether it ends up being today, throughout this week. At some point, you will be doing a telehall with Donald Trump. It's just a matter of firm up the dates and pay attention to your social media channels.
That's right. Well, obviously, he said he wanted to do it tonight, but I know when he calls me direct, it drives his people crazy, So, because
then you got to nail down all the details.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I was just honored to have him reach out and ask how everything was going and the race and everything. And so he'll either be this evening or sometime this week, but he definitely wanted to get it done and during this early voting. So that the voters could hear from him, and so they would know that I'm the only endorsed candidate in this race. Have been the whole time. There hadn't been any questions about it as far as he was concerned. So, but like I said, when you got a guy you're running against that has seemingly an unlimited amount of money, he can say things enough and make people believe whatever you want them to believe. I think.
Well, and Burt Jones is in studio. He's running for governor of the state of Georgia. I wasn't aware that you had gotten the Georgia lottery going. I didn't know that you own like slot machines. And so I guess I got to imagine that for somebody who has been involved in Georgia politics and who's been, obviously, you're Georgia.
Yeah.
And yet there's so much money that you're having to combat with all this messaging.
Sure.
How has that been a challenge for you in your campaign?
Well, I mean, like I said, when you got somebody putting out so much misinformation, look, you got to remember they started this back in Thanksgiving, back in November.
Those
for integrity.
Yeah, exactly right. There's the mystery ads that nobody can figure out.
Exactly, and they were accusing me of owning data centers. I don't own a data center. I've never sold any property to anybody who's built a data center.
Do you hawk illegal Chinese vapes?
I mean, and that's another thing. The vape thing. I'm like, my goodness. Number one, I don't think you can find any products that aren't made in China. I mean, go to your local Walmart.
Right.
And that's the whole reason Trump has been pushing America first, because we need to be making these things back home. So and then also on the lottery stuff, I was like, that was 1992. I was in middle school back then, and that was Zell Miller that put that in place. So it's just like I said, it's been one thing after the other, and the whole time we've been trying to talk about lowering income taxes, capping property taxes, and lowering property taxes for homeowners, and educational opportunities, and workforce development, and all the things that I have been able to accomplish with the help of Governor Kemp and the legislature in the last 4 years. I mean, we've had a pretty good conservative, common sense run here in the state of Georgia, and I tell people all the time, look, the next governor, whoever it might be, it is not inheriting a bad situation here. I mean, Georgia's in a pretty good spot. We could always do things better. That's with anything. Doesn't matter if it's a business, if it's a marriage, or it's a church, whatever. You can always do things better. But we're in a lot better shape than a lot of other states around the country right now. We're 2% unemployment, which leads the nation. That's a point below a national average. We've got a $14 billion surplus. Obviously, we do have a very, even though I know people never like paying taxes, but we do have a very low tax bracket currently right now. But I'd like to see it go lower. And so end of the day, there's not we're not needing to have somebody parachute in and save us from ourselves, kind of thing. And that's been kind of what we've been up against. And because at the end of the day, I think voters are tired of the negative ads. Quite frankly, I think they're tired of the mailers, and I know I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing them myself. But I do think in the last week and a half, people who had maybe we're looking at a couple of candidates. I think they're coming back to us, and they're coming back to us in a big way. And I'm looking forward to May 19th being a big day.
You talk about lowering taxes, which is great for affordability. What else, if you're a governor, how do you make things in the state of Georgia more affordable? I know that's a big thing that's happening with the president and at the national scale. Yeah. How do you do that here?
Well, I mean, obviously, when you start talking about property taxes and income tax, but also the cost of insurance is one thing. One thing we did before we left the legislature, we suspended the gas tax for 60 days. We're probably going to have to renew that at the end of this month, and that was that's 30 cents on the dollar for everybody. And obviously, we didn't know the gas prices would be spiked for this long, but hopefully we can get those back down, because that right there alone, that drives. Because look, I'm in the retail convenience store, grocery store business, and we you can see when the economy slows down, or you can see when people don't have disposable cash, because it affects your volume both in the grocery stores as well as at the convenience store level. And so getting gas back down to $2 and something is going to be key, and I think it's very important as far as the elections are concerned too, because in November, if gas prices are still at $3-4, and then obviously everything else being the cost of what it is, we're gonna have a heck of a time selling to the public that we need to be the people. But I do think the gas prices will get down. I do think things will start to stabilize, and so therefore, obviously that will be good, not just for the consumers, but it would be good for everybody who's trying to run on affordability.
Candidate for Governor Burt Jones is our guest in studio. Technology is changing everything. It's rapidly changing everything. But at the same time, too, we're also seeing this push for even students that, as they graduate high school, to maybe look into trades, because those look to be untouched by AI. Sure. HVAC, electrician, plumbing. What is your vision for the future of Georgia workers, especially those young people that are trying to get a hold of that American dream?
Look, that's the reason why I've been pushing for college and career academies that we've implemented in a lot of schools. And what college and career academy is a fancy word for old shop class. And, it's basically learning a trade, and that trade could be in dental hygienist, it could be in plumbing, it could be in electrical work. But there's no question in the trades, the artists and contractors, that is a short supply. And the reason why a lot of those guys are doing really, really well is because obviously supply and demand. There's not many of them out there, and so therefore, and we've done young people a disservice for the last 25 years, telling you can't be successful unless you have a college degree. I encourage people to go to college. Don't misunderstand me, but at the same time, it's not for everybody. So they need to be learning, and they need to be learning this in 8th grade. Not upon graduation. That there's other things out there. There's other professions out there. And what I like about how we do it here in the state is we encourage the local school systems to partner with the businesses there in their area, find out what the needs are, and then build the curriculum around what those needs are. Hall County does a good job with and they've got a contractor up there, Brian Daniels, Daniels Construction up there. They not only promote it, they also give funds towards helping put the curriculum together, and they're teaching folks how to drive dump trucks, how to run big heavy equipment, how to be carpenters, electricians, plumbers, and they make it a competition. And every year they have a competition between the kids on them building out whatever it might be. And they have simulators up there. Caterpillar donated simulators to the school system, and so they've got folks learning how to drive either heavy equipment or drive big tractor trailers, and they're doing it on simulators, quite frankly. And so things like that is something. There's a lot of opportunities out there that don't require a 4-year college education, but our young people have got to be introduced to it, and so that's something that we've really been pushing.
But on the flip side of that, AI data centers and AI as an industry is going to be big in Georgia too. So there's the trade part of it, with electricians going to need to wire up those data centers.
Right.
What about on the other side? How do you see kids, or maybe even people that are already in the workforce, transitioning into a more technology, the new AI world, as far as jobs go?
I'll be honest with you, it's moving so fast. I don't think we've realized the actual power behind AI and how much it will change the whole landscape as far as from a workforce standpoint. It is going to do that, but usually it's no different than any other kind of revolution we've had in this country, whether it's the Industrial Revolution or whether it was whatever it might be. People adapt. New cottage industries are created around the new way that people do business, and so I think we don't know the full scope of things, but as it plays out, and it's playing out very fast, I think you'll see that there'll probably be there'll be new industries that are developed and things for people to do because of that.
Obviously, running for governor is a big responsibility to the potential voters of Georgia.
Sure.
Tug and I, we used AI to create our own yard signs. We're running for mornings.
Okay. We're going to run for mornings.
And so we're also trying to do what we can for the voters out there. Now, we probably won't show up on many ballots.
Right.
And we promise not to put our yard signs in front of yours. But if you happen to be driving somewhere in Atlanta and you see Los and Tug for mornings, just know we're going.
Okay, sounds good. Well, I can write you in if I'm a position you want me to.
We'll take it. Where do folks find you online so they can find out about the town hall and about the campaign?
It's BurtJonesForGA.com, BurtJonesForGA.com. It's on all the platforms. Love for people to go to it. Love for people to volunteer. And, we'd love to have people's vote here. And when we do have the time that the president will be on with us, we'll get that on those platforms, and we'd love for people to join us.
Continued success, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you all for having me.
Absolutely. Candidate Week continues here on Xtra 106.3.
Tug and Los until 10, and we are going to continue it. You just heard from Burt Jones and his biggest rival, and the man that has the most questions around him is Rick Jackson. So, Rick Jackson came in, and we want you to hear, now that you've heard from Burt this morning, we want you to hear from Rick, so you can compare and contrast. I mean, we've had everybody on. We've had Chris Carr on. We've had Brad Raffensperger on. We've had Burt. We've had, and now Rick, too. I mean, this is a good chance to hear from everybody that you might pull the lever for. And you'll hear from them next on Xtra 106.3.
Your favorite Xtra shows are streaming live video from the studio on Xtra 106.3's YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Xtra YouTube channel and get the Morning Xtra and the Kimmer Show in live digital video.
Summer vacations are coming, and you need the peace of mind that comes from knowing that someone has an eye on your home other than potential criminals. This is Matt Harvey with Alert 360 Security, and we offer the latest in security and video surveillance technology to keep your home and valuables safe and secure while you're enjoying your time away. Starting service with Alert 360 is easy. Visit us at alert360atlanta.com, establish service in May, and get a free video camera. Protect what matters most. Alert360atlanta.com. That's alert360atlanta.com.
The biggest candidates in Georgia are live on Xtra 106.3 FM.
Vernon Jones is running for Secretary of State.
We all want election integrity at the end of the day. Doesn't matter what party you are. I know there's some out there on the fringes, some on the left, they want illegals to vote. Oh, no, that's a no-no. That cannot happen in Georgia, and I would fight against that.
Candidates, the road to victory includes a stop at Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3 FM and the Xtra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
They better sign the agreement fast. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. That's President Trump's message to Iran as he pushes for a nuclear deal to end the conflict, and he downplays a flare-up in fighting.
If there's no ceasefire, you're not going to have to know. You're just going to have to look at one big glow coming out of Iran.
Fox's Peter Doocy's at the White House.
These were unprovoked attacks from Iran using small boats, missiles, and drones against 3 U.S. destroyers who President Trump says took care of business.
We took our 3 destroyers and we rammed them through some pretty big stuff today. They were firing at us and we were firing back at them. And our firepower was a hell of a lot stronger than theirs, and they knocked the hell out of them.
We also got reaction last night from President Trump to another ruling against his tariffs.
We had 2 radical left judges that voted against it. So nothing surprises me with the courts.
The Court for International Trade called illegal the next round of tariffs he imposed under a different statute after the Supreme Court struck down his first round of tariffs as unconstitutional back in February. But yesterday's ruling only affects the plaintiffs who sued, not the others who were imposed the tariffs upon. Another Republican-led state approves congressional redistricting that could give the GOP another House seat in the November elections.
Protesters began chanting.
House Bill 703
7003, having received the Constitutional majority, I hereby declare it passed without objection. The motion can reconsider is tabled.
The Republican majority in the General Assembly passed a new map that splits up Memphis among 3 Republican-leaning districts. Black lawmakers spoke out ahead of the vote.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Other red states have also redrawn maps or plan to help Republicans. Democrats have countered with redistricting in California, Virginia, maybe New York next. The cruise ship stricken by a hantavirus outbreak that's killed 3 passengers, sickened 5 others, and has the rest quarantined will dock tomorrow in the Canary Islands. The World Health Organization downplays the risk, saying hantavirus is not like COVID. There's no pandemic threat. America's listening.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Does your friend listen to an old station whose news gives them the blues? Set your friend right. Tell him to download the Extra 1063 app.
Morning, y'all. Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 1063. This is the interview that everybody has been waiting for. We've had more questions about the man running for governor in the state of Georgia by the name of Rick Jackson. And he has joined us this morning on the Morning Extra to talk to you, to ask for your vote. We always goof that, Los and I have the platform, but it is the ears that are listening to this platform that the candidates want to speak to. And Rick Jackson this morning is here to talk to you. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Thank you, Tug, for having me on. Carlos, it's great to meet you.
Great to have you in studio, as Tug was saying. I think considering your background and the fact that you've now jumped into politics and you want to be not only invested in the state, but you want to help determine the future of this state. I think when you don't have the big track record, then that's where all the questions come up. And so I imagine a lot of the trail for you is just telling your story and telling people what you're about.
Yes, I'm. Nobody knew me because, to be honest, I've been behind the scenes for a long time because I've never wanted to actually promote myself because it's not about me from my standpoint. But obviously, when you get into a race and nobody's ever heard for you, I've got to do a campaign, 2-year campaign in 60, 70 days, basically. So I'm trying to get the word out there and get to as many people as I can.
What flipped the switch? Because you said you don't want to promote yourself. You've never been in politics. I'm sure you were interested in politics. You had to be as a business owner and somebody that votes in the state of Georgia. You had to be interested in that level at least. But if you never wanted to, what was the moment where you go, okay, it's my time?
Well, I tell you, I've interacted with the Trump administration, and I've seen what the business decisions they're making, the Trump administration are making, are unbelievable. And the press doesn't cover it, okay? I don't know if you ever saw an old series called West Wing. Maybe some of your people have. They're making 3 times faster decisions than it was in West Wing, and you knew how that moved. So from that standpoint, I was inspired by saying, what could somebody with a good business ability do for a state of Georgia like President Trump has for the U.S.? That really intrigued me from that standpoint. And then, to be honest, I was not seeing any energy, and I was actually concerned we would lose the governorship. And so from a combination of those two things, I just decided, and I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm pretty impulsive. This was like after Christmas, and that I decided to do this, and then went all in from that standpoint in January. And my final decision was actually January 3rd when I told my wife.
How'd that go?
I'm curious about that discussion right there.
Well, I know your women listeners are going to hate me now. I told her, but she's used to it. She's a professor at Georgia Tech and so forth, and of course very supportive. But I wanted to do my homework and pray about it, to be honest, and so that's what I did. And then I don't actually talk about it. You didn't hear me talk about running for governor. That's the way I roll. I actually just take action. I don't talk about it. You used to evidently play baseball, or
years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why my shoulder and my arm doesn't work and everything else.
Well, so I ended up my fifth high school was Great Atlanta Christian, and I finally was able to play baseball, because usually back then you had to stay a year before you were eligible, and so we were getting trash talked by some guys, and since we were quote Christians, they wanted to trash talk us, I guess, and I told our guys, I said, hey guys, let's let our arms and our bats do the talking, and that's the way I roll. So.
I love it.
Rick Jackson is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. Let's get into that, because you have promoted yourself. You've talked about yourself with the ad campaign as the outsider, and clearly somebody who has not been in office, you are the outsider.
Yep.
Because that has become, in my opinion, very popular. We're trying to avoid the career politicians. How has that resonated when you've gotten a chance to get out in front of people and to talk about, here's my business, but this is why I believe, as a career outsider, I can help deliver for Georgia?
Well, I think that there are people, a lot of people are tired of, it's not only career politicians, but politicians that make a point but don't make a difference, or people that just tell you what you want to hear, and they absolutely don't ever deliver anything. They just get tired of it. I mean, just think about Mondami. He comes out and just says affordability, and everybody loves him and all that. Like, that's a solution. That's
free buses.
Yeah,
free grocery stores.
And housing and all that kind of stuff. And, if he does anything he wants to do, he's going to destroy New York City, as far as I'm concerned. But that's not being genuine, and it's not what I call intellectual honesty. From my standpoint, the things I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to talk about them. I have a plan for anything that I talk about, any of the principles. In addition to that, I have a list a mile long of other things that I want to do, because as a business person, the definition of a business is a solution to a problem. And all my life, as an entrepreneur, you look for what problems that we're trying to solve. You create a business around it and so forth like that. So I've been going all over the state. I've seen thousands of people, and I've really enjoyed that, because I'm listening to them. I don't know. I've been told by my staff not many people hang around an hour or two and talk to people and take Q&A like I do. But I'm doing it because I need to understand what the issues are and so forth. So it's been very rewarding from my standpoint.
We've seen Republicans, because it's easy to lay everything at the feet of the Democrats, and they deserve a lot of it too. But Los and I talk about the Republicans that don't do anything. Just like you're saying, It's a Republican Party issue too. And yes. I feel like in Georgia, we may have it worse than Tennessee or Florida or any of the other states, where the Republicans are just as much of the part of the problem. How do you plan to attack that, being a Republican? How do you plan to break up the good old boy network that seems to never get anything done?
Well, I call it leadership. I think it's time to create a vision, be honest with people, but you don't create a business like we have. We have over 22 businesses with 22 presidents. You create a vision and objectives, and you do follow up from that standpoint. And I would do the same. I believe 95% of our legislators are down there for the right reason. I guarantee you, from that standpoint, they have good intent. And there's just a few people, but they're more focused on getting reelected. And getting reelected requires donors. And then obviously telling people what they want to hear, even when they don't even believe it, just to get votes. I believe you can shoot straight with people. I don't think I will be able to afford not to worry about what my donors say. I'll listen to everybody, but I'm not going to make a decision based off of that, because I don't need the money to go get reelected or do anything else. All I'm trying to do is come up with real solutions. I'm just a straight talker, and I think you guys are too. And I think we're all tired of people just saying things that they don't mean. I mean, they've been talking about eliminating taxes and property taxes, all this kind of stuff, and you saw what happened in this session. They completely destroyed it, didn't do it, didn't even solve the election stuff. Because there's 2 or 3 people that are basically more concerned about getting reelected, getting credit for passing a bill, and that makes a statement doesn't actually make a difference in my mind. So, but that's the kind of politics. People just want people to shoot straight with them. I can't tell you how many times I've been in town halls or questions when somebody asks me a question, and I say, "You're not going to like my answer." Here's
the answer. Here's the truth.
But here's the answer. Here's both sides of the issue, and this is the reason that I believe this and believe it's good for Georgia and so forth like that. And I find that if you explain to people whether they disagree with you or not, instead of having an argument, if you can explain logic as to why you believe something, I think people will listen. I really do. That's what I've been hearing on some of the issues around the state.
Rick Jackson is a candidate for governor right here in the state of Georgia. He joins us right here on the Morning Extra. We've heard from Silicon Valley about how impressive the Trump administration has been to work with. We've even heard past enemies and Mark Cuban talk about the prescription drug situation that the administration has set up. It's obviously been very complicated with this state working with the administration because of the past history. Under your leadership, how would you see yourself and the state working with the Trump administration?
Look, I'm going to make a prediction right now. I'm going to be President Trump's favorite governor. And the reason is because we're both business guys and we like to do deals. And I think we're going to have a fantastic relationship. And I have a lot of people on my team that have worked with the White House and the people there and so forth. And so we have a good relationship from that standpoint. But I really believe, like, for instance, I want Atlanta in Georgia to be the Silicon Valley of the South. And I think that I will tell you there have been, Elon Musk wanted to talk to our previous governors, not Brian Kent, that didn't return his call. And and so let me tell you, I'm going to be the #1 business developer of the state of Georgia. And the reason is we have to negotiate good deals. And Trump is too. He's coming in on the front. Let's get this done, assigns people and so forth like that. And we can do that. I met Rich Scott in 2011 when he was governor. He was making 10, 20 calls a day to CEOs all over the country trying to bring them. He's a business guy. He ran a large hospital company. And so from that standpoint, that's what I plan on doing, to negotiate good deals. There's a lot of people, we don't have to give away a lot of tax credits and incentives. We just have to come up with a deal that's a win-win for them and win for us. And my filter is that it has to be good for Georgia, period, from an ROI standpoint, just like any other business person.
So important. Rick Jackson is our guest on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. In my view, Georgia has gone from a red state, as I knew it growing up, to a purplish state, and I don't like it. Yeah. I want Georgia to be a conservative state. Yeah. I don't know who's to blame. I have some thoughts on it. How do you make Georgia look more like Florida, just rock solid red? That way we have conservative values, and I know your faith's important to you, and sir, my faith is so very important to me. I want our conservative values to be what we lead with. How do you get there?
Well, to be honest, one of the things after Charlie Kirk that J.D. Vance said, if you remember at the funeral or the celebration, he said, I've shared my faith more in the last 2 weeks than I have in my entire political career. If you've heard me, you hear that that faith for me is a main reason that I'm doing this, to have kingdom impact and to have impact on other people. And I think when you take care of other people, it is kingdom impact. No different. Whether it matters that you're trying to evangelize them and so forth like that. But I think to show people what faith being served out through the hands and feet of Jesus is, I think, a good way to run business and so forth. So from my standpoint, being able to be strict, like law and order. I am an old school law and order person. If I get pulled over going home today by a 26-year-old deputy for speeding, I'll say yes sir, no sir. I found out as a child that if you discipline the small things, they don't do the large things. And so from my standpoint, I'm going to uphold every law and be very strict about it, not to be mean, but to keep people safe and to bring down crime. And we don't have the guts to stand up for what is really unlawful. I mean, what the governor of Minnesota did in telling his people to go and obstruct justice to an ICE person put them in danger, and that's ridiculous. And I want to teach people that obeying the law is a good thing, respecting police. I talked to a liberal journalist that gave me pushback on this issue, and I said, I'll give you $1 million if you can show me one video where somebody did what the policeman said and got shot. It just doesn't happen. And so to keep people safe, let's just respect the police and do what they say and esteem them. And from my standpoint, I'm going to do a public service and teach kids in high school. We need to teach them that police are good and they're there to keep you safe. They kept me safe in the projects when I was small, and we respected them. We feared them, but they played basketball with us and took care of us and so forth. And so I think it's really important.
Well, if that $1 million offer is still on the table, Tug and I have a lot of police officer friends. I'd be like, listen, just plug me right in the live in the leg, all right? Like, take it easy on me.
Well, for you guys, I'll make it $2 million.
Oh, yes, let's go. Rick Jackson is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. Let me ask you about, because you're talking about being such a hub for business and whether or not we can become the Silicon Valley of the South. I think part of that also goes to our education system, and that has been a challenge here. We've seen the great state of Mississippi that is now past California with just by focusing on the basics. What is your view of how to improve the education system so that we're turning out those students that could take advantage of these opportunities?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it is, as you know, I was pretty hacked off that Mississippi beat us in football, but it really hurt.
Yeah, that one hurt.
Yeah, it really hurt when they beat us in literacy, because we could always rely on Alabama and Mississippi behind us. But look, that is going to be a high priority for me. I want to represent people that don't have a voice. So, as an example, the 66% of the kids that can't read in third grade, I want to represent them. We cannot put up with that anymore. Now, I'm glad they passed a literacy bill, and I think that's a move in the right direction. But I find that the key to doing something like this, what Mississippi did, just to review for your audience, they basically said we're going to teach phonetic reading learning style. But then they taught the teachers, because I didn't know it, the teachers had not learned how to do that phonetically. Then they said, you don't graduate from the third grade unless you can read. Most people don't, you may not know this, but you learn to read up to the third grade, and then you read to learn. 2/3 of the people can't read. What are we doing to our kids? And so from my standpoint, this is not something I really want to abdicate to. I want to bring everybody together. And everybody I'm talking to, from superintendents and educators and so forth, it's almost like having an alumni party. Somebody will just form it. They'll put it together. I want to show some leadership and bring everybody together and make it public, and that we're all going to focus on this. We're going to get a quarterly report card to see how we're doing and so forth to solve this problem, because we cannot do this to our kids anymore, because they need an education. They have to know how to read.
Rick Jackson, our guest on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Going to take a break and come right back. We'll get into some of the homestead exemptions, some of the how do we eliminate property taxes, how do we cap property taxes, how do we eliminate the state income tax. Can we do it? Is it a progressive thing, or can we do it tomorrow? We'll get all those answers next on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
The Kimmer Show is live until 6 p.m. and Extra 106.3 has the rest of your night covered with Jesse Kelly up next. Fox Across America with Jimmy Fela at 9 p.m. and The Guy Benson Show at midnight. All live on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Hey, Atlanta, the Summer Starts Here sales event is now going on through June 1st, Marietta Toyota. If you want a smart new Toyota with a payment that makes sense, start with the 2026 Toyota Corolla. And a vehicle that people choose for reliability, efficiency, and long-term value. Perfect for daily driving and commuting. At Marietta Toyota, every new Toyota includes our nationwide lifetime powertrain warranty, unlimited time, and unlimited mileage for as long as you own it. And we're voted Best of Cobb for 2026, Best New Car Dealership, and Best Service Center. Well-qualified buyers, 4.99% APR for 72 months is available on the new 2026 Corolla. Visit us on Cobb Parkway South, just north of Truist Stadium. Marietta Toyota, since 1975. We've been here and will be here for you.
4.99% APR for 72 months with approved credit through Southeast Toyota Finance. Not all buyers are qualified. Offer ends 6/1/26. See dealer for details. All purchases exclude tax, tag, title, and include dealer fee of $699.
It's official. President Trump has endorsed Burt Jones for governor.
Burt Jones has been an incredible leader. This man has my complete and total endorsement, and I really want to see him win.
Burt Jones is a trusted Trump conservative who's leading the fight to end Georgia's state income tax.
He's going to make a great, great governor. You will be very happy, Georgia. Burt Jones has my complete and total endorsement.
Paid for by Burt Jones for Georgia.
Stovall & Company Wholesale Landscape Supply has been family-owned and operated for more than 75 years, and we treat you like family, too.
Check us out at StovallInc.com or stop by our new store in Canton, Georgia and see what we have to offer.
At Stovall, we supply all your landscape project needs.
Completely hassle-free, all the way down to the delivery.
Have you been dreaming of an outdoor kitchen, fireplace, or other custom paver project? We partner with Keystone Hardscapes for all your beautiful high-end concrete needs.
We look forward to making your landscape dreams come true. Stovall has it all.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Friday, May 8th, and here are your headlines. President Donald Trump paused Project Freedom less than a day after launching it, saying progress is being made towards a peace deal involving Iran. U.S. Central Command says American forces intercepted Iranian missiles and drones targeting commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, while Iran also launched attacks towards multiple U.S. Navy vessels. President Trump warned Iran would face a, quote, lot of pain if a nuclear deal is not reached. Despite heavy rain returning to parts of Georgia this week, drought conditions across the state remain unchanged. Some metro counties picked up more than 3 inches of rain, but the NOAA says Metro Atlanta still needs roughly another foot of rainfall to fully end the drought. Forecasters say it could take several more major soaking rain events before conditions significantly improve. And finally, Candidate Week wraps up today on Extra 106.3. Clark Hungerford from the Cobb County Commission District 1 will join us later this morning at 9:25. And in case you missed any of our conversations throughout the week with Vernon Jones, Greg Dolezal, Burt Jones, and Rick Jackson, you can watch them all right now on the Extra 106.3 YouTube or listen to them on the Extra 106.3 app. Today's weather is a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 76 and a low of 59. With your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Gobert.
Tug and Los on Extra 106.3, the Morning Extra, our guest this morning. So grateful to Rick Jackson for popping in and talking to you this morning, especially on a rainy day here in Atlanta. But I wish you were privy to the conversations between the commercial breaks. And we'll take a lot of this to the air as much as we can, but those sometimes are the most revealing conversations that we have. And Rick, you said something about being a man that wants to give first. And I believe that. When you say that, I have no doubt in my mind that you really feel that way. Are you afraid that being in the world of politics will change you? Because we talk about most people going for a good reason, whether to D.C. or under the Gold Dome, and something changes. Are you in fear of that at all? I mean, fear is probably not the right word. Are you concerned about that at all? Politics changing who you are, how you operate, what you do?
Absolutely not, because I'm too old to change at this point in time. So from that standpoint, but I'll tell you something else that didn't change me, and that's the wealth that God has given me over many years. From that standpoint, and as I was telling you earlier, in 2008, I committed that I drew the finish line. I recognized that the money I've been given by God is not my money, and I'm a steward. And I committed to give 100% away since 2008 of everything I was above my net worth at that time, which was 1/10 of what it is now. And I'm glad I did. And I've been basically doing that since 2008 with over 400 nonprofits, forming 7 nonprofits ourselves for foster care and other things, and sex trafficking, all these kind of issues. And so we've been trying to have my goal and objective was kingdom impact. And all I am doing right now is having an extension of that, because I did not believe I could live out the rest of my life to have as much potential impact on people that need it than representing 11 million Georgians from that standpoint, and applying the skills that God has given me to apply business principles to solve problems. And so that's the reason, guys, that I'm doing this. Otherwise, I don't need it. I don't need the job. I don't need the title. I'm just trying to figure out. And if I lose, I'm going to keep giving impact, period, from that standpoint. And I'm leaving it. I'm doing my part. I'm working as hard as I can, and I'm leaving the rest to God. So that's where I'm coming from.
Rick Jackson is our guest running for governor in the state of Georgia. You talk about the money that has gone out. And your opponents, your critics, will say, well, money found its way over to this person, or money found its way over to this particular institution. How do you counter that? Because as you're saying, since 2007, 2008, there's a lot of money that has gone out. How do you address when that is one of the attacks that comes your way?
Well, first of all, probably less than 1/10 of 1% of the money I've given away in the last 20 years has gone to politicians. But I give to people all over the United States. In Georgia, I've been giving for a long time, but you need to realize I only do it for one reason. I have never asked, you will not find a politician, my opponents, anybody, where I've ever asked anything for our company. I committed, after I went to a state hearing, to only focus on applying my affluence and influence on foster children. And that's all I've been doing. When I met Brian Kemp, I said, when you think of me, think of foster care, because of the focus, because they don't have representation. When I testified and they told me they never heard words called foster care in 17 years, it just pricked my heart. And so I decided I'm just going to focus on them because they don't have lobbyists. And so by doing that, I've given a lot of money here locally just for that purpose. But from that standpoint, I've given to good and bad people in the Republican Party nationally and so forth like that.
Rick Jackson, our guest on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. Fulton County has been pretty sideways when it comes to the elections. A lot of people have questions. How do you, as governor, expect that you're going to alleviate some of the questions that people have? I think transparency is so important, and I think we don't have a whole lot of it. I keep hearing best state to vote, safest elections, all that. And I know when people call our show, they don't feel that way.
I don't blame them.
Yeah, right, exactly.
So I don't blame them.
So when you see Fulton County being raided by the DOJ, and whether you believe something happened or not, and I know there's people on both sides of that story.
I call it a statistical anomaly.
Right? And you're a numbers guy, too. And I know y'all have connected that. You and Los Rick have connected on that. None of it adds up. How do you take what is this big mess and fix it and make people believe in their election again?
So let me tell you how you run a good business. People don't do what you expect; they do what you inspect, and you have follow up and so forth. So, from my standpoint, what happened in 2020, Robert Woodruff of Coca-Cola said, if anybody steals from you, it's your fault. And that was self-inflicted, what happened in 2020. It's egregious. I think the 2021 bill really helped to make it easy to vote and hard to cheat and so forth like that. But you cannot, in our business, we have something called continuing quality improvement. You never give up. This is not like, let's take a look in 3 years. It is all the time that you make sure. So I believe in, I like your word transparency from that standpoint. Now, I will tell you, I have a software company in healthcare. It's one of the most complicated software systems that you can have, interfaces to 275 different systems in a hospital and so forth like that. I've looked at the Dominion machines. I'm telling you, the software is the worst software I've ever seen, period. Forget all the other stuff. I'm just saying there is no way as governor that I would be able to convince myself that it is totally safe. There's so many security flaws. This software was written in the last century, and all of our software in Georgia was written last century. None of it has been written this century, so which we had to improve. From my standpoint, I would immediately have to eliminate that software and come up with, Now, I believe in the 21st century with everything that's going on, we can figure out if Bank of America can give me safety that my money's my money and nobody can steal it and all that kind of stuff. Surely we can come up with something. But the way you do that, I appreciate the FBI and anybody else, because to me, truth is like a lion. You don't have to defend it. It defends itself. And the best way to do that is shine a light on everything and investigations and appoint tasks. I'm going to have people dedicated at the GBI that goes after every election issue And if I find somebody who's cheated or done something wrong, I'm going to have them arrested. And I'll tell you why. Because when you start doing that, other people are going to start paying attention to it. And it also says we're serious about this. So from my standpoint, I think the only way to do it is to report it quarterly, every election, have an inspection, have auditing, because we do that to every business to make sure that it's safe.
So without having to go back and relitigate 2020, because it's in the past.
That's right.
Are you willing to shine a light and do the investigation so you can just say, hey, here's what happened. We can't change it now. It's done and in the past. But here's what happened.
Absolutely. And from my standpoint, I don't see how you lose anything by doing that. Now, I think, the Secretary of State chose this software, and he's not going to ever admit, because politicians don't admit mistakes. I'm going to tell you something. I'll admit when I make a mistake, because I don't need to blame somebody else. But that's the only way you can learn from that standpoint. So to make people feel better, if you would shine information, have auditing, have task force, have independent people coming in. That stuff works from my standpoint to give, because everybody needs to have confidence that it's working right. They don't now, and I understand why they don't. And by the way, with this software, I'm very concerned about it. It has too many flaws in it from that standpoint. Let me give you an example. Most people maybe not in software. If Tug goes in and makes a change in the software system, it does not know who Tug is. Okay.
Wow.
Yes.
So
it has no log of who made the change.
That's right. And so you have no way to audit who did it.
Wow. Okay. That's
just one. I'm
one
giving
problem.
you, that's just one thing. And then the reason it's going to cost so much to upgrade is they have to go to 30,000 different machines to do that. When's the last time your iPad or iPhone, somebody came out to upgrade your
Never.
phone? Yeah. Well, my point is it is so antiquated and has so many security flaws. Wow. It's just ridiculous. But from that standpoint, I think we have a lot of people out there that are watching, so forth. I think is better. But look, in Fulton County, I mean, that's been my entire life. I was telling somebody my entire life that's been an issue. And he said, well, no, it goes back to Jesus. And I said, well, I'm not sure we were made back.
It goes back quite a ways. Rick Jackson is our guest running for governor right here in the state of Georgia. Tug and I have brought this up. We talked about J.D. Vance, and at one point, J.D. Vance was not a big fan of Donald Trump, and now he's the vice president.
Yes, sir.
RFK Jr. is another one who was an opponent who said, I learned a lot about this particular person.
Marco Rubio. And he called him Little Marco. I mean, back in 2015, 2016, where were you in the past, and where are you now? Yeah, I just like J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio, I was not an early supporter of Donald Trump from that standpoint. But in this term, what he has done is just unbelievable from my standpoint. And so there's nobody that supports him more than I do from that standpoint. In fact, he's inspired me to do this. I told him that at Mar-a-Lago when he asked me, he said, so why are you doing this? And I said, well, it's your fault. And he jumps back, and I said, because of what you're doing, I want to do that for the state of Georgia. So from that standpoint, I think all of us come on at different points in time and so forth, but at this point in time, nobody supports him more than I do.
So you had to have been down there in the last, since January, right? Is that in that stretch down to Mar-a-Lago?
Yes, yeah. It was in I think it's the third week of February or something like that. I was supposed to go to D.C. and they moved it down to Mar-a-Lago, and it was on the date, by the way, that we bombed Iran.
Oh, wow.
So we forgave him for being an hour and a half late for dinner.
Yeah, okay. So
something made a lot of sense as to why.
And then after we got through, the head of the CIA and everybody came in and gave it, and he goes, uh-oh, so what's going on? And they said, no, it's good news. We got him and all that kind of stuff. So it was good. Look, I know a lot of people have problems with that, but I just think it's the best thing in my lifetime to go after Iran. We would have so much more peace. We wouldn't have had 9/11 if we would have solved this a long time ago.
We've got a couple minutes left in this segment, and I swear we got so much stuff policy-wise I want to get to here, and then in our final segment. We have a really great listener, Stephanie, who asked this question. We've had so much talk about property taxes and what's going to happen moving forward. Ron DeSantis talks about the elimination of them in Florida, but then there always comes back to how do we pay for our schools? What is your vision for property taxes? What could you get behind?
Yeah. First of all, I'm saying freeze and then reduce. And here's why. I got a lot of pushback from political people basically saying we need to, think about just eliminating property taxes and all that. And that's just BS. I'm just telling you, you're not going to be able to eliminate it without destroying 159 counties. So the reason I'm saying freeze, for your audience, y'all need to understand that cost of living went up 23% for 2019-24. The property taxes went up 49%. It's insane. And we got to create discipline. So the first thing I want to do is say, let's stop this increase. And then you cannot have one suit fits all for 159 counties. There's 4 counties I've been to that hadn't raised property taxes at all. But if we had to pass something, it would have destroyed it. So we got to make sure they have the schools and, the police and the firemen and so forth like that. But my approach is to come up with something that will work with every county based off running financial numbers on every county. If we come up with a solution, how does it impact them? And is there a way for them to solve that? And you can't just say, well, they can do sales tax because some our rural areas don't have industry they can tax or retail.
Yeah, there's no Walmart there.
That's right.
That's a problem.
That's right. And so I don't want to destroy them and I don't want to hurt them. But we're going to have to do something about it. I've had 2 widows come up to me crying, saying I've got to sell my house because I can't afford my property taxes that I've raised my kids in. That's just
that ain't right.
I don't ever want to see that again, and I'm going to solve that.
Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. When we come back, we'll continue on the topic of taxes, and I think homestead exemption is a question that pops up with our listeners. Going to ask you about that, and then the income tax, the state income tax. What does that look like? Paring it down and eventually potentially getting rid of that here in the state of Georgia to match what they do in Florida and Tennessee. How that helps, and then maybe even how it might hurt if it would. Next on the Morning Extra, our guest Rick Jackson, running for governor of the state of Georgia.
Extra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 8th. A measuring stick weekend out on the West Coast as the Atlanta Braves open up a 3-game series tonight against the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Braves ace Chris Sale will be on the mound tonight. He'll be opposed by Emmett Sheehan. First pitch is set for 10:10 tonight. You can hear all the game action on our sister station, 680 The Fan, and free on the Fan app. A pair of Game 3s in the association tonight as well. The Philadelphia 76ers host the New York Knicks. Philly down 2 games to none in that series. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock. Then later in the evening from Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves host the San Antonio Spurs. That series is tied at a game apiece. That tip-off is set for 9:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
For more local sports, head over to The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. And for the latest political news and talk, stick with Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Hey, this is Los with Terry from Alpharetta, who just purchased a new car with the Honest Car Guy, the new, fully transparent, honest way to buy your next vehicle. Terry, tell us about your experience.
I have a son serving in the military. He's active duty with limited time to look for a car. My son was looking for a used Hyundai Veloster, and I had heard about the Honest Car Guy on the radio, decided that might be a route to go, and we made a phone call over the weekend. He screen shared the information with us. We looked over the vehicle, and he took the reins from there, and they were able to walk us through the process of buying the car. We're very clear and transparent, and next thing we knew, we had a car in the driveway.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an honest car buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
Oh no, what is that sound?
It's our rejection detection system. It's showing that several men across Georgia are being denied intimacy by their partners due to ED.
How can this be?
Well, it's more common than you think. As men age, their bodies change. And unfortunately, once they get over 50, some things don't work like they used to.
So what do we do?
There's only one thing to do. We need to get them to Dr. Eric Deal at Total Body Therapy of Georgia. He can fix ED problems.
But how?
At Total Body Therapy of Georgia, they are experts in the P-shot, testosterone replacement, regenerative therapy, and Trimex to create an erection and more.
Hi, this is Dr. Eric Deal from Total Body Therapy of Georgia. Did you know that 50% of men over 50 struggle with some form of ED? Guys, it won't get better on its own. When it's not hard, it's really hard. But I can help you today. Call us at Total Body Therapy of Georgia at 404-777-1911 or learn more about us online at tbtofga.com.
Let me ask you something. How many different places do you have to go right now just to understand your business insurance? And I don't mean to buy it. I mean to actually just understand it. Because for most people, business insurance is not one thing. It's a collection of things, different policies, different documents, different people you have to call depending on what the question is. And when you actually need a straight answer, you don't always get one. That's the part that doesn't make sense. And it can be really frustrating when you're trying to get it right. Well, this new company, I am a big fan of Super Sure. They just fixed this. It's one agency, one team, working with you year round, not just when it's time to renew, so you can actually see how everything fits together instead of trying to piece it together for yourself. And they even built a tool called the Fine Print Facts. That'll take all the legal language and translate it into real English so you know exactly what you have, what it covers, and what it doesn't. Because you should know. You should never have to guess when something is right, when it's this important. Go to supersure.com/Beck. That's supersure.com/Beck.
Paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
Summer vacations are coming and you need the peace of mind that comes from knowing that someone has an eye on your home other than potential criminals. This is Matt Harvey with Alert 360 Security, and we offer the latest in security and video surveillance technology to keep your home and valuables safe and secure while you're enjoying your time away. Starting service with Alert 360 is easy. Visit us at alert360atlanta.com, establish service in May, and get a free video camera. Protect what matters most. Alert360atlanta.com. That's alert360atlanta.com.
Right here in our backyard, sellers trust Purple Wave Auction to move their equipment, from excavators and ag equipment to trucks and specialty trailers. Our no-reserve online auctions help local sellers turn iron into opportunity. You get a dedicated territory manager who knows your operation, your market, and your timeline, backed by nationwide buyer demand. Local service, national reach, real results. See why more sellers choose Purple Wave. Visit purplewave.com to get started today.
Hey, listen, it's that Rick Jackson again.
Too often, criminal illegals commit sick, violent crimes. Do that when I'm governor, and you'll end up deported or departed.
Dang, I know, right?
What do you have, Sugar?
I'll take the meatloaf and Rick Jackson for governor.
He's something, ain't he?
Oh, he's tough. No tolerance for criminal illegals, no woke ideology.
No more do-nothing career politicians.
The man escaped the projects and built one of Georgia's most successful businesses. Plus, he's big-time pro-Trump. And he wants to cut our property taxes. Like, for real.
Shush, y'all. Here comes the good part.
No more free rides for people who refuse to work. You want to sit on your butt, binge watch Netflix, and scarf down Cheetos? Do it with your own money.
Amen to that.
Conservative Rick Jackson for Georgia.
I just love that Cheetos part.
Paid for by Jackson for Governor, Inc.
And they're still talking about impeaching Donald Trump. And again, if we lose the House, they will impeach him. The first thing they'll do is impeach him. They'll lose, but they will impeach Donald Trump again.
The Kimmer Show, every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Our guest this morning, Rick Jackson, running for governor of the state of Georgia. And Los, we had a great question out of the YouTube chat.
Yeah, we will get to taxation in just a moment, but this was from Josh McCollum. I think this is a really great question for you. He mentions that you coming from the healthcare industry, and the industry right now, I mean, the negative connotations that come along with that are really difficult. How do you portray yourself as, I'm looking to do this, but you come from that industry, and making sure to separate the two?
Well,
you're good.
There we go.
I'm glad that they asked that. First of all, let me tell everybody, I'm not in the insurance business. we provide medical, clinical people, doctors, nurses, and so forth, all over the United States, every state in the United States, where they provide medical care on a temporary basis. For instance, if an orthopedic surgeon, OB doctor leaves for 4 to 6 weeks, the hospital loses a lot of money if you don't have somebody there. Nurses are a huge demand, and there's a shortage of nurses. And so we just provide people to do that from a staffing standpoint. Now, here's the reason why you want me in there, because I'm the only one that can spell healthcare in Georgia, much less solve the problem. And I was totally shocked that the healthcare, when we asked a jillion people, what is the biggest issues that you have? Healthcare never came up, and I'm totally shocked, because it is a big issue toward affordability from that standpoint. Everybody's, deductibles and copays and all that kind of stuff is going up, and the price of insurance. So I'm just going to tell you right now. Nobody's asked me, but I'm telling you, we're not going to have health care solved by the feds. We can do it in the state. I know how to do it. If we don't have the most cost-effective health care program in the first term, I won't run again because I am that confident that I have a solution. So just because I'm in healthcare, one of the advantages is I know how it works and I know where the bodies are buried and I know how we have perverse incentives and all these kind of things and so forth. The other thing, too, we have a huge mental health issue here. I can't believe that we're forcing our sheriffs to have a lot of mental health patients in their jails, and they're not geared for that. That is something that I can't put. I'm going to have a solution to that. I mean, there was one sheriff that said it takes 8 months for them to get a mental evaluation. I have a telepsychiatry business for ER. We have a 2-hour turnaround on a mental evaluation, so I know how to solve that. And so I'll be able to come up with a lot of solutions in healthcare that I think people are going to be really excited about.
Rick, what you just said there means a lot to me personally. I have an aunt. She just passed away, but there was some serious mental health issues. And my mom and daddy worked their entire life. My dad's passed on, and my mama's still taking care of a lot of people in the family. And it took the entirety of my life for my aunt to finally get mental health care that she needed in this state. And I mean, my mom and dad, they weren't rich people by any means, and they would take every dollar they had and they would buy or rent or to have her a place. And then a week later, she wouldn't even live there. But it was just that devastating. And it's ugly. So what you're saying means something to people. It means something to me. I've seen it up close.
Well, mental health is the weakest part of healthcare, and it has less reimbursement, and it's ridiculous. But it also prevents a lot of problems, and it's a good investment in the person themselves because they need it.
How can you? Because you said it right. The federal government can't do it. At the state level, I assume they can because you're saying you have a good plan for it. But how do we make that make sense? Because anything, in my view, anything government touches, it destroys. It messes it up. It does not help. The free market needs to work. And I know some people have some feelings about free market healthcare, and I understand that. But how does that work together? How can you make that work?
Look, the free market system does work. Okay, so for instance, when you get LASIK. When I had it, it was $4,000 an eye. It's probably $300 now. That's a free market solution.
Yes,
plastic surgery, everything from that standpoint. And the problem in healthcare is you have a buyer that doesn't pay and a seller, doctor, that doesn't know what the cost is. That's not the definition. However, if you eliminate a lot of the middle people in the system, you bring in 21st century technology, and then you do a lot of things. For instance, there are insurance companies that are profit shifting over to pharmacies that they own. If you eliminate some of those, I call them perverse incentives and so forth like that, eliminate a lot of the reinsurance issues and so forth that I think I can do to bring down costs, we have a solution. We'll come up with a reduction. And then to have IT, 21st century IT, that basically gives everybody their own personal record on their own card that they can show up anywhere and people have complete access. I don't know about you, but every time you go in the hospital, you have to fill out a form you'll fill out one form for the rest of your life as far as I'm concerned, and then you'll have access. And some of those things will really bring down the duplication of tests and so forth and reduce costs.
State income taxes, what are your vision for Georgia with because when you look at obviously our neighbors, it's less.
Okay, let me tell you the solution, but it'll give you some information since you're a statistics guy. So what I'm saying, I'm going to reduce it by 50% in the first term, and I think they're making a little bit of progress there. And I've liked Governor Kemp's approach of evolution versus revolution from that standpoint. I think it's fiscally responsible. But I actually have a plan. The combination of keeping our expenses or reducing the expenses of government and growing GDP by 4.5% in Georgia, the combination of that allows us to do that. We could do it sooner. But you have two levels of expenses: recurring expenses, payroll, and then you have investment expenses. we can reduce it significantly if we quit our investment, but we don't want to do that. I want to do that responsibly from that standpoint. But let me tell you, if you take all taxes, you go on Google or whatever, ChatGPT if you want to, take all the taxes in Texas, Florida, Tennessee, and Georgia, and combine that divide it by the population. Since you're tracking with me,
yes.
Right? We're $500 less than those states.
Yes, the property taxes, especially in Texas, are outrageous.
Well, in Florida too.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit misleading because it's about 1% more because our average income is less than those 4 states. So you still have to solve the problem, but you have to get taxes from somewhere. And the question is, what is the right balance in the right way that is fair to the most people? But we have to reduce property taxes. We can't. I mean, this idea. Kamala Harris and Biden wanted us, if our net worth went up, to tax our net worth. That's all we're doing with property taxes from that standpoint. And so I just think that's an outdated way to do that. I think people ought to have a budget. If they need to go up 3 or 5%, they spread it out, and that will be a lot less than 49%.
Well, the ultimate goal is if we commit and create enough growth in this state,
right.
that'll solve so many of any of these issues.
Absolutely. That's why I'm going to be focusing on GDP growth here in Georgia, but we need to invest in Georgia too.
Big companies versus small companies. Small companies are the backbone of America.
Absolutely.
How do you balance that? Because you want to invite big companies to the state of Georgia, but I don't want to see them incentivized more than you know.
Yeah.
The benefit that a small mom and pop company is going to get.
Yeah, and
how do you balance that?
Well, first of all, we don't want anybody coming from California.
Amen to that.
Amen.
What does your license plate say?
Yeah.
What is that?
Sir, turn yourself around.
Well, look, we don't invest enough in innovation, entrepreneurship. With Georgia Tech, we ought to be the Silicon Valley of the South from that standpoint. Our farmers, I am most excited about bringing business and investing in our rural areas than anywhere else. And besides that, we got enough traffic in Atlanta.
Yes, sir. That's right.
So that's what I want to do is invest in people here, in small businesses and innovation, entrepreneurship, and so forth like that, using our own money, part of our pension plans, instead of sending them to these woke, hedge funds and so forth. Let's invest in our own companies and so forth. And it's not that I'm against bringing companies in, but my priority is going to be investing in our companies in our industry right here with the people that we have.
Unbelievable. I can't believe this hour has gone by as fast as it has. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
And I hope you'll come back, and if there's anything that we can do to help promote your campaign and let people know what means something to you and the messages you want to get out there to the listeners, you're always welcome.
Well, thank you. I'd be glad to come back. It's been a joy, and I appreciate what you guys are doing and giving information and content for people so they can make a judgment.
It is candidate week, and I'm so glad that you're here being able to hear from the biggest candidates running for election in the state of Georgia. It feels like going into this midterm, it is so important that you understand what each candidate stands for and how they might represent you in their particular position. Run Office Los.
Yeah, hopefully that's been very enlightening for everybody to get a chance to hear from everybody that we've gotten a chance to spend some time with. And I think moving forward, it's interesting. We've now, as we've had, it's been told to us by some of the Republican representatives, hey, a lot of the big hitters are with you this week. Then as we get into the remainder of early voting and as we get into primary season, now we're going to have a whole lot of locals too.
That's
and
right.
It's amazing how people are lining up to want to be part of this program.
They want to speak to you. And we try to make that clear all the time. Los and I host the show, but they do not care to come talk to me. It wouldn't matter who's in these seats. They want to talk to you. They want your ear. And so the fact that you're being sought out, your vote is coveted, you should take it seriously. And I'm sure you do. I know if you're listening to this station and this show, you take voting seriously and the importance of it. But just understand how much these people want you to pull the lever for them.
And if we might as well brag a little bit. So one of the key aspects of this audience, and this applies to this show throughout the day as well as to Kimmer, about half our audience is women.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's very difficult to find in politics.
Rick could not believe it when we told him. That was the first thing that we said to him that made him surprised was that right there.
Yeah, because
that was cool to see.
Well, oftentimes because you're trying to get bang for your buck, you're trying to reach audience. If you'll notice, if you're watching a lot of sports events these days, there'll be a lot of political advertising during those sports events. Well, they know, hey, we're reaching about a 90-10 number when it comes to men versus women. But then they're also trying to figure out, okay, well, how do I reach women? And the fact is, women are very busy throughout the day, just as men are. But you don't have a dedication to programming outside of a certain age that's watching The View. And so the fact that they're able to reach them with this audience is something that has them all lining up to talk to you. So men, great. Women, y'all are doing an awesome job with this radio station.
It is so important. And we had Liberal John reach out, and he wondered if we had invited Keisha Lance Bottoms. And the answer is yes. We've emailed her campaign. We've emailed John Ossoff. We've emailed pretty much everybody. Matter of fact, Clark Hungerford, who's running for District 1 Cobb County Commission, who will join us about 9:25. His opponent, I guess, she's the incumbent in the election there. Her name is Kelly Gambrell. She actually reached out and said, hey, I heard Clark was coming on. I would like to come on as well. And we've extended that offer, and I think next Thursday is what we nailed down for her. So when people reach out, we absolutely get back, and we make the extra effort on the front end to say, hey, we open the door to you. We roll like Jeff Duncan has been on. You know, he's a former Republican, now a Democrat. He's been on Extra 106.3. We've had some folks. So
let me just. I'm sorry to butt in on you, but let me just be honest. If I could have on Keisha Lance Bottoms and John Ossoff next week, I would drive up to Dalton and slap your mother.
No.
Like if that was the caveat, like, this is the only way.
You got to go punch mom in the mouth.
You got to go drive up to Dalton and slap Tug's mom. I'd be like,
done.
Okay.
I would have to call her ahead of time and be like, Mom, I'm sorry about this.
but
it just has to be this way.
But that's the legal obligation we have as a community radio station is to offer to both sides. It's really just up to them if they choose to take it.
Yes, that's exactly right. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3.
I'm going to slap that mama of yours. Come on, John.
Slap
Come on,
the
Keisha.
taste right out of her mouth. Hey, speaking of John, he had sent us this Trooper Perry GoFundMe. The numbers are starting to increase on that page, so we appreciate everybody. Trooper Perry is a North Carolina highway patrolman that bought Liberal John's grandparents' home, and he was killed in the line of duty. So there is a GoFundMe set up. Support for Trooper Perry's family. That is the GoFundMe/support for Trooper Stephen Perry's family. Easy to find and easy to donate there too. John is a really great guy. We see things differently, but we have a wonderful relationship with him, and he's been calling this show for 5 years. So we love him, and we're glad that he listens, and I'm glad he's asking those questions because it deserves to be said, those things that he's asked. As well as Back Our Blue in America 2, the silent auction has started for that. So all kinds of community things that we try to be involved in, and we're glad that you're here. This is the Morning Extra. Los and I had the opportunity to do something that we've never done before, and it went off without a hitch, but there were some bumps in the road. Talking about the cool thing that we did with Dr. Rich McCormick last night. We'll share it with you next on Extra.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
Well, my friends, let's see what I can come up with to reinforce in your mind how bad Democrats really are. You do know what an ICE detainer is. Immigration and Customs Enforcement learns that an illegal alien is being held for a local infraction in some city. ICE says, we'd like to have him after you're finished with him. The city says, no, we're a sanctuary city. No deal. We're not turning him over to you. So how has that worked out for New York? Since New York became a sanctuary state, they have released 6,947 criminal illegal aliens. Since January of this year, the crimes committed by these illegal aliens include 29 murders, 2,509 assaults, 199 burglaries, 392 dangerous drug offenses, 300 weapons offenses, 207 sexual predatory offenses. You want an example? Well, on April the 9th, a New York City, Queens, District Attorney Melinda Katz announced Roman Amatatila is being charged with arson and 8 counts of second-degree murder for setting a fire that killed 4 people in an apartment building, including a 3-year-old girl. And yes, Roman is an illegal alien. So this accused mass murderer is being held in New York by the Department of Corrections, and they refuse to give ICE any information about this prisoner. And they're flatly stating if Roman is ever released, the New York Department of Corrections will not notify the Department of Homeland Security so this man can be deported. Please note that all sanctuary jurisdictions in this country are controlled by Democrats. They just don't want Joe Biden's good work undone. Neil Boortz Extra 106.3.
Streaming across Georgia on the Extra 106.3 app. This is WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. Extra 106.3.
A slowdown in hiring, but not as big as predicted. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
We got a much better than expected jobs report for the month of April.
Fox Business Network Cheryl Casoni.
115,000 jobs. The expectation was 62,000. The unemployment rate, as expected, holding steady, 4.3%.
That hiring is 70,000 fewer jobs created, though, than in March. On Wall Street, stock futures are rising. Oil prices up slightly, but the price at the gas pump has dropped a penny this morning after the big spike up the last couple of weeks. Now to the Iran conflict.
We should know something today. I mean, we're expecting a response from them. We'll see what the response entails. The hope is it's something that it can put us into a serious process of negotiation.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio a short time ago, as President Trump insists that deal includes Iran agreeing not to have nuclear weapons, as the president downplayed a flare-up in fighting, saying a ceasefire remains in place despite Iran attacking 3 U.S. Navy ships.
They shot missiles. Every missile was knocked down. Every drone was knocked down. And the people that shot it are no longer with us.
Now, we're just getting word from Fox's Jennifer Griffin that the U.S. has carried out more airstrikes today, going after very large, empty container ships trying to make it back to Iran and evade the blockade. Now, Central Command has reported 70 Iranian oil tankers remain unable to get in or out of Iran's ports because of this blockade. But Fox's Lucas Tomlinson also reports from Dubai a lot of other shipping still halted in this conflict.
More than 1,500 ships remain stuck behind me in the Persian Gulf. Iran's foreign minister, textually active today, posting, quote, every time a diplomatic solution is on the table, the U.S. opts for a reckless military adventure. Outcome is the same. Iranians never bow to pressure.
The U.S. had an attempt this week to escort stranded ships out of the strait, but that was postponed. America's listening to
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. If someone talked you into buying something really silly and you want to get out of that silly little thing, my advice, get the facts. Call me and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit absolutely free. Inside, you'll learn how timeshare works and all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit information kit. 800-809-7171. That's 800-809-7171.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250, micro, to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
Ladies and gentlemen, the weekend.
Thank God it's Friday. Come on. Tug and Los until 10 on Extra 106.3. Yes, thank God it is Friday. We've been working hard all week. You've been working hard all week. Only got a little bit of time, few more hours until you can call it a day. Get yourself a cold and wind down a little bit. Is that George Jones from the Great Beyond?
Is that George Jones from the Great Beyond?
I felt like I heard him. I felt like he was right here with us, Lord.
I felt like that soul was reaching out and said, "Yes, I am here with you boys."
That's exactly right. I'm singing Friday. Finally, Friday. I got $100 smoking in my billfold. I mean, come on. How can you not love
of Friday, and how can you not love the possum George Jones singing about it? Dude, we got some dynamic on this show, if you think about it. I mean, we go from Poison, Unskinny Bop in the 7 to, George Jones, which, I mean, couldn't be more different in the 9. But we try to cover all bases, that's all.
Well, you want to talk about being so dynamic, and I know we're going to get into our event last night that we had a chance to do, and we've had all of these heavy hitters this week, and that'll continue through this 9 o'clock hour. But, Tug, we now have the UFO files that are starting to leak. It's disclosure day.
Here we go.
And Anna Paulina, Luna, and Tim Burchett and I have been working so hard for this. Mostly them.
I love it. Mostly them.
But I now have what I've been talking about. When are we going to start this? When are we going to see this stuff? And to see some of the videos that are now going to get out there and some of the files that were requested, they were supposed to be released at about 8 o'clock, and then 9 o'clock we would start kind of getting a bunch of this stuff. And sure enough, right around 8:30, 9 o'clock, we're starting to pop up all around social media.
Look, I don't know if Twitter, now called X, was listening to our conversation, but I literally clicked on, just opened it up, and the first thing, Department of War, the war.gov/UFO, so the unidentified anomalous phenomenon files in historic transparency for front office Los and everybody in the world to see. Now, has it changed everything in the world already? Or are we early on that?
Tug, I hear you mocking, and that's fine. But I will just tell you that the world has been waiting to see what the American government has, and that does include an image from the Department of War of Apollo 17 on the lunar surface. And what the hell are those things flying over the lunar surface?
So I'm looking for that. I've not seen that one yet.
What the hell are those?
Okay. I just saw it. This is I don't know what that is, Los.
The 3 lights that are checking out what we're doing on the lunar terrain.
So what do you suppose it is? I mean, like, do you have a guess, or is this just you have no idea?
Guess this is the first time I get to see this stuff.
Well, I know, but I thought maybe you would have an idea. I don't know.
And now let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
And I expect you to not have the answer, and nor would anybody else. If I was to say, what the number one podcast in the world is Joe Rogan's, and it does millions of views. He's had on Donald Trump. He's had on J.D. Vance. Do you know what the most viewed episode he's ever done?
Let me guess, something to do with UFOs.
It was Bob Lazar, the man who worked at S4 at Area 51. It's done like 65 million views.
Good heavens.
Because that's how much people are like, what is out there? What do you know? And so today, I know that a lot of people, this is going to be one of those things that when you're at lunch or when you're having a beer after work, you're going to say, hey, did you see that UFO stuff?
Yeah, right.
And everyone's, because this isn't hard to understand. It's either you see something and you go, whoa, or you go, that's BS. Yeah. Either way.
Yeah, right.
It's a conversation.
I don't think it's BS at all. I know I goof about it a lot, but I don't know what to think, but I don't think it's BS. I mean, there's a reason that they are, sitting on these pictures for so many years because they believe it's something. What it is, who knows? But the fascination behind it, I completely understand. I completely get. I do get it. So looking at these, this Area 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, the pictures from the Apollo 12 that you referenced, man, they look, especially Area 5, that one seems to be the clearest. And does that look like some sort of craft with some sort of propulsion down at the bottom? Is that what you see in that, or is that just me?
Well, okay, so the one I'm looking at is Apollo 17, 1972.
Okay, got it.
And that one there's a distinct 3 objects that are seemingly hovering. Now, if you've ever kind of jumped into UFO lore, Apollo 17 was supposed to be this one mission where it had alien interference, and it's all but the thing is everyone's like, okay, that's just folklore. That didn't actually happen. All right, what the hell is that?
Okay, I'm trying to get to those pictures because I was looking at the 12.
If you go to @Chupacabra, and it has us.
Well, that's credible. Come on,
Tug. It's the same image that you can find from anybody. I just happen to be looking at it on that. It's the same image everyone else has.
Okay, got it. Let's see if I can find old Chupacabra here.
Tupa with like a T-U-P-A.
Chupacabra. Okay.
Chupacabra. You can't miss it. It's a pretty, the guy's got quite a bit of followers, but that's one of them that shows the lunar surface. And what is the old thing? What are those?
Yeah.
What are those? I'd be
Yes.
like, what is that?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Apollo 17, 72. Okay. Off to the right, just the 3 dots kind of thing.
The 3 lights that are there that are not, that's the lunar surface. That's not supposed to be there.
Right. No, I get it.
Remember?
Yeah.
We've always been told you can't see stars either.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but we even had an astronaut that came back, and that was one of the questions that the elementary school kid asked, how many stars could you see? And he was like, none. And it was, I think it's still surprising to people. But yeah, so again, what do you suspect that is? I really don't know what to think that it is.
Okay, let me read you the transcript, by the way. This is also part of the release.
Okay.
This was from Apollo 17. Now we've got a few very bright particles or fragments or something that go drifting by as we maneuver, and then command, Roger, understand. Then back at, I guess it's the LEM, it says, there's a whole bunch of big ones on my window down there, just bright. It looks like the 4th of July out of Ron's window, command. And basically acknowledging that it says, yes, now we see some of them in the shape. They're very jagged, angular fragments that are tumbling. Wow. So there's something out there that they got pictures of that they couldn't explain.
Gosh, it is intriguing.
That's interesting when your astronauts are talking about that.
Well, yeah, because I expect them to kind of have an idea what they know and what they've trained for, and then when they're put off and they don't know how to explain something, much like the Navy pilots, who I feel like have seen everything as some of the best pilots in the world, when they can't explain it, when they are, I don't want to say scared by it, but maybe that is. That's something that is hard for me to wrap my head fully around.
It's just a lot, and there'll be more stuff throughout the day. This is
the first dose.
This is the first dose. This is supposed to go out slowly throughout the day, and I believe into next week. And that's why we had the discussion of this might shake some people with what they think is going on in their world. Good, because we had the JFK stuff, and that turned into a big bag of nothing.
Yep.
We were like, okay, they think some people did this. Martin Luther King stuff was what we pretty much knew, and that the government, had a pretty good beat on it. Yeah, this is different. This is what are those?
Yeah, well, because I remember J.D. Vance saying, I don't believe in aliens per se. I do believe in demons, and I think that's what it is that we're able to see. And there's been biblical scholars that I've been reading about where they quote scripture and point to that exact thing. So, yeah, man, it's funny. You just hit the Apollo 7 transcript. Guess what's on the news right now? The Apollo 17 transcript.
This is going to be all day. This is going to be the biggest story of the day that is going to be going. I would imagine this is going to keep Twitter and X abuzz for probably the next 24, 36 hours and until they say, and then here's the bodies.
Yeah, which will be the most. I mean, like lights in the sky, that's one thing. When you start rolling out, if indeed that is the case, that little green dude with big old round or oblong head, that will change people's mind for sure. If they have something like, do you expect that they do? I know you read about this a lot, and I would even call you the expert on it, because you study it quite a bit.
Well, okay, so
do you expect any of that?
This was told to a joint session of Congress when they were they. And I believe this was from 4 years ago, and this is where the Democrats and Republicans, they had one of their committee meetings, and it was bipartisan, and they were all asking questions of, and what it focused on. This is where I should point out the importance of it. They were trying to get to the bottom of where's this money going. Because there's projects that are off the books that seem to be for high-end military research, and you had a number of people that were there, whether to throw you off the scent or to be truthful, that just said, we have this equipment in hand, and this is where the money goes to study it and try and replicate it. And those people also did say that we were in possession of bodies that were not human.
Right, yeah, okay. Do you expect that's going to be rolled out? Actually, do you think that will be part of this? Put it
this way: if that occurred, I think that Tug is calling me and going, We need to have a drink. We need to have a talk.
I'm gonna need a 3-finger whiskey to try to digest this.
But this is what I keep going back to when it comes to the angle of faith, and that's what's going to be part of the discussion all weekend with this stuff. One of the biggest ideas is that if with God so infinite, so powerful, why would He only make us?
Sure. No, I can.
You know,
I can. I can be. But you would have to think that He created it all, whatever it is.
Sure, and that's part of the idea of I don't think this is as faith shaking, groundbreaking in that regard.
I was actually talking to Bryce about that earlier. Like I can see this and accept what is put in front of me, and then go to the good book and try to figure out what it is, because I do believe that
you can read about it in there too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, of course. There's scripture that points to a lot of things. We had, what was it? I can't remember the exact thing that my pastor had said, but I remember texting you right after church, and it was something he had said, and it was something to do with Anunnaki or people living under the ocean or something. And he was like, we can get into that later. So I think he nerds out on that stuff a little bit too, but it doesn't scare him as far as his faith. And that's the thing that's comforting to me, because I don't think any of this is going to shake my faith. If anything, it might make it stronger, dude.
Well, hopefully we just keep getting more stuff, because I'm looking at here's a vehicle.
Important.
Here's a vehicle doing a multitude of 90-degree turns. We don't have that.
And those Navy pilots going, hey, man, we ain't never seen anything like this on our radar.
Yeah, that ain't normal.
This dude's doing a hard, like a 90-degree turn. It's
the
impossible.
Sort of thing that would rip your body apart if you did it.
Yeah, completely impossible. Dude, this is going to, like you said, consume the entirety of the day and the weekend, and I don't want it to get away from us that we have Clark Hungerford coming in here in about 10 minutes or so to talk about Cobb County Commission, the District 1 seat that he is challenging for. So
yes, we just want to acknowledge the biggest thing going on right now.
But you can't miss it. It's so important. But I don't want to lose track of Candidate Week being so important. And matter of fact, what we did last night with Dr. Rich McCormick being able to moderate his town hall, because the last one, and his staff told us that it was a bunch of activists, and it just got off the rails and didn't go anywhere. Complete waste of time. Last night, I think they were appreciative, and you saw the text that all come in from his staff talking about this is exactly what we had envisioned. That we knew people were going to get a little rowdy, and they did. And y'all were able to corral them and keep the discussion moving forward, which is important for the people that are there for the right reason.
And Tug and I, having never done that, we were just trying to kind of feel our way through.
And I feel like we'll even be better next time if we're invited back.
I believe that you and I were ruthless hall monitors. We were trying to keep the traffic moving.
Ma'am! Hollering at that one lady.
At one point, when I remember telling somebody, respectfully, sir, do you have a question for the congressman? After he spent like 10 seconds of...
Oh, dude, 10? What are you talking about? You're being generous.
Yeah, maybe
I bet
20
a minute and 10.
Listen, I'm just staring at his mouth, and I'm hearing it in terms of...
Charlie Brown's teacher.
Like my brain was going into like Saturday morning cartoon mode. I was like, I got to get out of this conversation here quickly. We got to get this guy moving. But again, it was a total adventure. It was a lot of fun. And Tug and I... even when Tug, there was one gentleman who started bringing up the how many things that this administration has done that are unconstitutional, and I said, well, sir, if we may talk about it, how about you name one? And
he was like, there's so many.
There's so many. And out of nowhere, over the entirety of the crowd, you hear Tug Cowart say, how about just one, sir?
Just give us one. That's all we're having. We're not asking for all of them. Just the one that bothers you the most.
And the one he came up with was by far the most flimsy, the use of the War Powers Act.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Which, of course, he didn't know what that was either. No. It's just Rachel Maddow said, well, these actions in Iran, we haven't declared war. They're illegal. I'm like, listen, baby girl, that's not how that works.
Yeah,
and certainly, I didn't baby girl anybody out there.
Not by words, not with those direct words, but there were a couple times where I think some baby girl could have jumped out.
The look on my face on a handful of people, I'm embarrassed to go back and watch the YouTube link that's out there.
I can't wait to go. That's the first thing
I know you're excited about it. Me, I know that there's going to be a moment where I can't hide the look on my face where I just went, oh, okay. You've had entirely too much MS now.
Back it off a notch or two. Do yourself a favor.
The gentleman, the African-American gentleman from Alpharetta who stood up at the back of the room, we sent him the microphone. He announced who he was. He talked about where he lived. And then he proceeded to talk about how in the last week he's concerned about how his vote doesn't count.
And, but couldn't give a reason why.
Well, again, it was all because of Calais versus Louisiana, and I guess, by the way, he lives in Alpharetta. Like, I don't think we're really drawing a whole lot of black districts through Alpharetta, but the whole idea of what the Supreme Court found to be unconstitutional and illegal is that you cannot draw boundaries by race. You can actually draw them by politics. You can't draw them by race.
That's right. And then it came up when Dr. McCormick brought up the gerrymandering in Virginia and how they made it a 10-1, Democrat to Republican, and that has been blocked in court, and they won't even let them proceed forward with it as it sits now until it's adjudicated all the way through. But and he brought that up, and they were like, "Well, what about Texas?" We had the crazy lib lady to our left in the front row. What about Texas? And Dr. McCormick is like, "Well, because Texas did it the right way, and he tried to explain that."
Texas got rid of their gerrymandered districts that were based according to race. I brought up, Sunny Oak Cliff, how Sunny South Dallas, that's the way they drew it so that they could have a predominantly African-American district rather than a cross-section of everyone.
It was an eye-opening experience. I think Los and I both have decided there's no way we would ever run for political office because of what we saw right there. We had fun corralling it as best we could, Los, but I don't think either one of us are going to throw our hat in the ring for a political office.
I would. I just wouldn't do town halls, and if I had to do them, I would just insult everybody for the most part.
You'd be the most popular, if it were Congress, you'd be the most popular congressman on YouTube. People would cut up your videos of your facial expressions and your reaction and response to people. It would be fantastic. You'd be rich off of YouTube alone.
And I get it. Congressman Rich McCormick was like, I'm not going to change your mind by calling you names. I'm like, I'm going to change your mind by giving you the truth. And if you choose not to accept it,
then I'm going to call you names.
I can't make you smarter.
That's right. And if you don't want to listen, then there's nothing I can do for you.
I looked up the clip on YouTube, and all I got was y'all on the local news.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 11 Alive and Fox 5. There's video of the town hall, and y'all are up there.
Well, look at there.
You look good in your suits.
Oh, looking like rock stars up there, I'm sure. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Clark Hungerford is running for District 1 Cobb County Commission. We will introduce you to him, and he will ask for your vote next on Extra 106.3. This is the Morning Extra.
Hey, it's Los. Let's talk about Howard Brothers and Exmark. Warm temperatures are here, and that means go time. And you know what go time is for homeowners and for pros. It's the same. It's mowing season. It's time to get that lawn work done. If you've been paying attention the past couple days, and it's really been hard to miss, it's been pouring. And, hey, we needed that rain. That's really helpful. Well, your lawn is going to explode this weekend. Well, get in front of that. Get an Exmark mower. They're built for comfort, speed, and performance, so you can depend on them each and every season. Find your Exmark mower at Howard Brothers. They are the place to go for the top service and trusted brands for all of your outside projects. Howard Brothers, serving you since 1955.
Extra 106.3 is getting ready for the 2026 midterms. And on the ballot, it's freedom versus communism. The choice is clear, and your vote matters more than ever. The future of our community and our country hangs in the balance, and the conservative voice of Atlanta will continue to fight the good fight right up to the election. Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
It's everyone's favorite time of the year, May in the A. The Braves have 3 exciting matchups during the month, including the Cubs, Red Sox, and Nationals. Don't miss a moment at Truist Park, including some unbeatable deals during select games, like $15 tickets, $10 parking, $3 Miller High Lifes, $2 ice cream sandwiches, and daily deals at the Atlanta Braves Clubhouse store. And along with the great deals comes great fun. Fans can look forward to 5 must-have gate giveaways like the Hawaiian shirt, straw cowboy hat presented by Visit Sarasota, and more. Plus, don't forget to arrive early on select games to participate in pregame parades and player high fives, block parties in the Battery Atlanta, kids club activities in Children's Healthcare of Atlanta Park, and so much more. Visit Braves.com/May in the A to check out the details and purchase your tickets. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves Country.
It has begun. The Summer Starts Here sales event now through June 1st. Commuting every day, the 2026 Toyota Camry is now all hybrid with up to 53 miles per gallon in the city. At Marietta Toyota, every new Toyota includes our nationwide lifetime powertrain warranty. That's unlimited time and unlimited mileage for as long as you own it. And we've been voted Best of Top for 2026, Best New Car Dealership, and Best Service Center. For well-qualified buyers, 5.49% APR for 72 months is available on the new 2026 Camry Hybrid. Non-Toyota owners may qualify for $1,000 Camry Conquest bonus cash, no trade-in required. Visit us on Cobb Parkway South, just north of Truist Stadium. Marietta Toyota since 1975. We have been here and will be here for you.
5.49% APR for 72 months with approved credit through Southeast Toyota Finance. Not all buyers will qualify. 1,000 Conquest for eligible current non-Toyota owners. Must finance or lease through Southeast Toyota Finance. No trade-in required. N6/1/2026. See dealer for details. All prices exclude tax, tag, title, and include dealer fee of $699.
I'm so sick of all these cheesy lawyer billboards. You might be too. If you're injured in a car crash, you don't hire a lawyer because they're sweet or strong or the biggest. You hire a lawyer who is recognized by their peers as one of the top lawyers in the state. You hire a lawyer who's going to listen to you, fight for you, and has the case results to prove it. That lawyer is me, Bruce Hagan, the People's Lawyer. I've been proudly selected by my fellow lawyers as one of the top 100 lawyers in the state, and for 21 consecutive years as Georgia's super lawyer. Hagan-law.com, Hagan-law.com.
I'm Michelle Stovall, and our company has been family-owned and operated for 75 years. Check us out at StovallINC.com, or better yet, stop by our newly opened 11th store at 9500 Union Hill Road in Canton. At Stovall, we supply you with all your landscaping project needs, completely hassle-free down to delivery. Been dreaming of an outdoor kitchen, fireplace, or other custom paver project? We partner with Keystone Hardscapes for all your beautiful high-end concrete needs. We look forward to making your landscape dreams come true. Stovall has it all.
Protecting your home shouldn't be a headache, and it shouldn't break the bank. Well, a lot of security companies lock you into multi-year contracts and surprise you with huge cancellation fees if you move or your needs change. SimpliSafe does things entirely differently. With SimpliSafe, you get award-winning 24/7 professional monitoring for a fraction of the cost. Service starts about $1 a day. And there's no waiting for a technician or drilling into your walls. You just customize your system online in minutes. They ship it to your door. You could set it up yourself in under an hour. You get premium protection without the high-pressure sales calls or long-term commitments. It's security that earns your trust every day, not through trapping you in fine print. That's why over 5 million people rely on SimpliSafe, and why U.S. News & World Report has named them the best home security system of 2026. Right now, get 50% off your custom system at SimpliSafe.com/Beck. That's half off, SimpliSafe.com/Beck. There is no safe like SimpliSafe.
A journey from alone and abandoned to one of the most successful businessmen in Georgia history. Conservative Rick Jackson.
I spent Christmas Eve alone in a children's home. When I woke up, a Good Samaritan had left me $100.
Rick Jackson knows what it's like to go without. That's why he'll fight the career politicians who talk about cutting income taxes and property taxes, but always fail.
Unlike career politicians, I know how some extra money can change everything. That's why I'll freeze your property taxes and slash the income tax in half.
Conservative businessman Rick Jackson will deliver major property tax relief that failed career politicians never will.
I'll get you a boatload of your money back, or I won't run again. It's as simple as that.
No more waiting and wavering from career politicians. It's time for real tax relief. Rick Jackson for Georgia. Paid for by Rick Jackson for Governor, Inc.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines.
It's Friday, May 8th, and here are your headlines. President Donald Trump paused Project Freedom less than a day after launching it, saying progress is being made toward a peace deal involving Iran. U.S. Central Command, however, says American forces intercepted Iranian missiles and drones targeting commercial ships in the Strait of Hormuz, while Iran also launched attacks towards multiple U.S. Navy vessels. President Trump warned Iran would face, quote, a lot of pain if a nuclear deal is not reached. Despite heavy rain returning to parts of Georgia this week, drought conditions across the state remain unchanged. Some metro counties picked up more than 3 inches of rain this week, but NOAA says Metro Atlanta still needs roughly another foot of rainfall to fully end the drought. Forecasters say it could take several more major soaking rain events before conditions significantly improve. And finally, Candidate Week wraps up today on Extra 106.3. Clark Hungerford from the Cobb County Commission District 1 will join us next. And in case you missed any of our conversations with Vernon Jones, Greg Dolezal, Burt Jones, and Rick Jackson from earlier on in the week, you can catch up and watch them all on the Extra 106.3 YouTube or listen to them on the Extra 106.3 app. Today's weather is a mix of sun and clouds with a high of 76 and a low of 59. With your Extra 106.3 headlines, I'm Bryce Gobert.
This week, Candidates Week, we've had a bunch of state races that have been kind of the focus, and we want to make it hyper local today and next week too, as a matter of fact, as we have some other guests lined up for next week. But our hyper local guest this morning, Clark Hungerford, he is running for Cobb County Commission District 1. Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to come in.
Well, thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah.
Just a little bit about me. I've lived here. My wife and I moved here in 1979. We've lived in West Cobb since. We raised 3 children. The great thing about our children is that they've decided they wanted to live in West Cobb. So they now all have families, live about 5 minutes from us, and we've got 7 grandchildren. And what I want to make sure of is that Cobb County remains the type of county that attracts people to move into and to stay in and enjoy all the benefits of it. The residential part of West Cobb is beautiful. We want to keep it that way. And that's why I'm running. I see some things going on in the commission that I'm not really happy with, and we've shown a deterioration of some of the things, and somebody's got to get on the inside and try to fix it. And that's why I came out of retirement. Retired 3 years ago after 47 years in banking. We had Vinings Bank that we started in 2007, sold it in 2022. I retired and enjoyed retirement. Enjoyed being with my wife, traveling and being with the grandkids. But like I said, I saw some things not going the way we wanted to. And so you got to get on the inside and try to fix it. That's why I offered to do it. You know, the Cobb County Commission, along with the school board, is as close to government as you can get.
Yes,
that's where the rubber meets the road.
Yes, sir. Front office Los.
I love the origin story. I love, and this is Clark Hungerford, who is running for District 1 in West Cobb for Cobb Commission. I love the origin story when people get involved locally, because it's always because there's somebody who's active in their community, they see a problem, and then now the discussion point happens. And so I'm curious, Clark, was that a discussion with your family? Was that a discussion? Was that a lot of praying? What was it? Once you identified the problem, you knew you wanted to make a difference, but what was that kind of pushed you over the top and said, yes, I am going to do this?
Well, I made the mistake of talking to some people about how I was not happy with how things were going, and they said, well, you need to do something about it. You need to run.
It's you.
Yeah.
Not them, but you.
That's right. That's right. You got to be careful what you say. Somebody will call you on it. So they convinced me to think about it, and I did exactly what you said. I went to all of my family, and I said, here's what I'm contemplating, but I won't do it if you don't want me to do it, because I know that, you know, when you're a candidate and when you're elected, you know, people don't always talk about you the way you'd like for them to. And I didn't want it to fall off on them. Like I said, I've got 3 children. They all have families and have careers. And I didn't want anything that I did to
affect them
negatively. Sure. So, and I also knew that the kids would be out there. And I know that they would get some exposure. And I wanted to be sure it was all up, you know, that everybody was agreeable on that, and they all came back enthusiastically and said, you know, Pops, you're the type guy who goes and gets things done. You need to do this. So the next thing I did is we had some prayer time, and my wife and I and some good friends of ours prayed about this to make sure this is where we wanted to go. And everything seemed to line up, and I've been blessed to be surrounded by some really good people. Our campaign committee came together very quickly, because I didn't make this decision until right before the end of qualified, and people said, you need to do it. So I decided to do it. got a good group of people to come together to be our campaign committee, and I think we put together an awesome team and an awesome campaign to reach out to people and say, hey, my opponent has been in there for 8 years. There's some things we don't see that are happening the way we want to see them, like traffic has just gotten worse in Cobb County. It needs to be fixed. There are several things we can do on that. Taxes, everybody says taxes are high, but what's really important is how the money is spent. It's your money. It's the taxpayers' money. Government doesn't create money. It collects money. 47 years of banking experience. I've dealt with all sorts of customers, had financial experience, so I felt like I could lend something to how this money's being spent in the future. And so that was what it is. The last thing, and I use the 3 T's, traffic, taxes. The last one's team. There's not a cohesiveness up on the county commission. There's a lot of dissension, and I feel like based upon the type people I've dealt with in business over the years, I've learned how to negotiate and how to reach consensus. And I'm not sure that I can do it completely, but I'm sure that I will sit down and try to get people to all get on the same page for the benefit of the people in Cobb County, specifically in District 1, which is North and West Cobb County.
Yes, sir. Talking to Clark Hungerford. He is running for Cobb County Commission, District 1. Your experience on the Development Authority. Let's talk about that, because you think that uniquely qualifies you to be the best person for this job.
It does, but let me clear up a misunderstanding on that. A lot of people say Development Authority of Cobb County, and they immediately go to real estate development. And nothing could be farther from the truth. Our development is economic development. We try to bring jobs into the county, retain jobs in the county so that people can both work and live in Cobb County with good quality jobs. We also bring investment into the county like TK Elevator, HD Supply, expansion of Home Depot, things like that contribute to the commercial tax base, because in a healthy suburban county, you want a mix of residential property taxes and commercial property taxes. And what's happened over the last few years is we're beginning to see a drop in the increase in value of the commercial property. You kind of want like a 70-30 mix between residential and commercial property. It started out 10 years ago at about 78% residential and 22% commercial, and now it's 76% residential and 24%. You need to, I'm sorry, the first number was 78. Was 72-28, 72% residential, 28% commercial. It's dropped down to 76% residential and only 24% commercial. And what that means is that when you put it all together and you try to figure out how to finance the operations of the county, you don't want everything to fall on the back of the taxpayers, because if you do that, the homeowners then have to fund a larger burden, or you have to cut services, one of the two. There's just no way around it. And so what we did with the Development Authority over the last 25 years I've been there, we brought in 83 projects to the county for a tune of about $5 billion and 21,000 jobs. So we think we've improved the overall standard of living within the county and kept it manageable. But once again, this has nothing to do with real estate development. We don't even touch residential real estate in the Development Authority.
Clark Hungerford is our guest right here on the Morning Extra. And first off, I just want to say, as far as bringing in those companies and giving them good opportunities in Cobb County, the last time somebody was trapped in the building that you're currently in, it was me in the elevator, and it was TK Elevator that came to help me. So
they
the
rescued
more of those, the better. I'm always in favor of that. You have an event coming up on Tuesday, May 12th, over at Joe's up top over at Legacy Park. Talk about what the goal is there. I know you want to meet people in the community, but obviously have these discussions and really be able to empower some of these people and what their interests are in the county.
Yeah, one of my hosts for that is Mayor Derek Easterling of Kennesaw, and some other folks up in that area. And the whole goal of meet and greets is for me to meet the voters and be able to answer their questions one-on-one. It's really important to be able to look somebody in the eye and respond to them. I can write all the stuff, and while my campaign committee's been very good on social media and mailers and that sort of thing, I like being able to meet people eye to eye and speak to them, because they know then whether or not I'm telling them the truth. If I can't look them in the eye and give them an answer, then they have to wonder a little bit about it. And I'm willing to do that and put myself up in front of them and answer their questions directly.
Is it open to the public? Anybody?
Open to the public. Okay. Anybody's welcome to come.
Yeah.
As we said, it's Joe's upstairs bar right outside of Legacy Park. We invite everybody to come. It's 5:30 to 7, so please come. Love to meet you. Love to hear from you. Want to know what's on your mind.
Yes, sir. Clark Hungerford is running for Cobb County Commission District 1 as a challenger. The dynamics of Cobb County have changed quite a bit in the last few years.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in Northwest Georgia, I mean, Cobb County was probably as red as Dalton and Rome and places like that. It is no longer that way. Do you have a plan for making sure that conservative values are front and center and the people of Cobb County benefit from them?
Well, I've been a conservative, I would say, almost all my life, as far back as I can remember, and will continue to be a conservative. I have seen what's happened to the county. I was extremely surprised in the recent runoff that we had to fill Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat that the Democrats actually took the vote in Cobb County. We need to change that. We need to get back to the conservative values that have made America great and have made Cobb County great over that year. Like I said, I've been here 40 years, so I saw the Southern Democrats that were there, the Roy Barnes and Zell Miller before he turned, and then I saw us turning Republican. Johnny Isaacson was a great instigator of that, and then we turned more Republican, and I think became a better-run county. It used to be that Cobb County was the leader. If you wanted to know how to do things well, we were the leader in doing it, and you could look and see how Cobb was doing. We've got a situation now with our clerk of Superior Court, who unfortunately was in the other party, who's not even in office, but had the attorneys in Cobb County were up in arms because of the way she deteriorated one of the best clerk systems in the state of Georgia. So things like that are things we've got to change. We got to get it back on the straight and narrow and make things a great place to work and live and just enjoy life. Some of the things like our parks and stuff, we're just not paying attention to them. We need to do that because kids need a place to be able to go and have fun playing baseball or soccer or just being able to walk around and enjoy being outside.
Yes, sir. This is the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3. We'll be right back with Clark Hungerford. He is running for Cobb County Commission District 1. Want to ask you about the progress of the place that we sit now at Dickey Broadcasting here at the Battery Atlanta and what this development has meant to and the challenges that we've run into because of this development for Cobb County. We'll talk about that next on the Morning Xtra on Xtra 106.3.
Xtra 106.3 Sports, powered by 680 The Fan.
Good morning. Here are your sports headlines for Friday, May 8th. A measuring stick weekend out on the West Coast as the Atlanta Braves open up a 3-game series tonight against the defending World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. Braves ace Chris Sale will be on the mound tonight. He'll be opposed by Emmett Sheehan. First pitch is set for 10:10 tonight. You can hear all the game action on our sister station, 680 The Fan, and free on the Fan app. A pair of Game 3s in the association tonight as well. The Philadelphia 76ers host the New York Knicks. Philly down 2 games to none in that series. That game will tip off at 7 o'clock. Then later in the evening from Minneapolis, the Minnesota Timberwolves host the San Antonio Spurs. That series is tied at a game apiece. That tip-off is set for 9:30. With your sports headlines, I'm Carlos Medina.
For more local sports, head over to The Fan, 680 and 93.7 FM. And for the latest political news and talk, stick with Xtra 106.3 FM and the Xtra app.
Atlanta's a world-class golf city. But let's be honest, sometimes Mother Nature has other plans. Lightning storms, summer heat that feels like a sauna. There's got to be a better way to play golf on days like that. That's why there's Atlanta Golf and Social, your indoor golf escape on the West End just off the Beltline. Step into the bay and experience TrackMan Tracer technology. Dial in your swing data and unlock your scoring potential. Whether you're a weekend golfer or a daily driver, join the club and enjoy unlimited golf with flexible memberships. Then head into the Clubhouse Pub, open for lunch through late night. Chef Zeus leads a craft kitchen serving fresh farm-to-table dishes with global flavors, healthy ingredients, all paired with a full bar of cold beers, curated wines, and handcraft cocktails. Atlanta Golf and Social has everything for golfers of every level to enjoy, and it's family-friendly too, perfect for parties. It's one of Atlanta's premier spots for corporate outings and private events for up to 100 guests. Book your visit and learn more at atlantagolfandsocial.com.
A golf instructor who knows technique can improve an aspiring pro swing.
4,
car?
But one who really cares can help transform a career.
There he is, your new champion.
When you team up with someone who knows a lot and cares even more, you're unstoppable. At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking. Truist, leaders in banking, unwavering in care. Truist Bank, member FDIC, leading based on top 10 U.S. commercial banks.
Hey, this is Los with David from Atlanta, who just purchased his new car with the Honest Car Guy, the new, fully transparent way to buy your next vehicle. David, tell us about your experience.
I had been looking for a vehicle for a couple months. The car buying process was a little challenging at first for me. I had some credit issues in the past, and I just happened to hear a familiar voice on the radio, and it happened to be the Honest Car Guy ad. I got in touch with Tom. Within 2, maybe 3 days, I had a vehicle being shipped here from Orlando, Florida. I have already recommended him to family members, several friends, and I'll purchase a car from Tom when I make my next purchase for sure.
Friends, if you're in the market for a pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, get an Honest Car Buy from the Honest Car Guy. You pay what we pay, plus an honest fee, and we back that up by giving you the bill of sale. That's our transparency guarantee. Call 844-SHOW-ME-1. That's 844-SHOW-ME, the number 1, or visit honestcarguy.com.
This is John Flading. I'm the president and owner of ATL Turfco. We are family-owned, operated, independent local company. We have over 15 years of artificial grass design, installation, and sales experience. From premium artificial lawns and backyards, custom putting greens, sports fields, hardscape, drainage. We do both residential and commercial. If you can dream it, we can build it. Just go to atlturfco.com to schedule an appointment.
Of all the radio ads I've ever done, I only advertised one thing that I think saved my life. My CPAP machine, sleep apnea. And I found the best CPAP dealer out there ever, Roddy at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. CPAPsETC.com. Everything you need, all the supplies, shipped anywhere at a price that often beats insurance. CPAPsETC.com. Go take a peek now.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
If you love news and talk, you have to connect with the biggest personalities in the South at thepodcastpark.com. It's more original Atlanta content from Atlanta's hometown talk crew. From legal news to sports and politics, and even archives of interviews from years past. Find the podcast that you love and subscribe everywhere you get podcasts.
Tug and Los until 10 on the Morning Xtra on Extra 106.3. Our guest is Clark Hungerford. He is running for Cobb County Commission District 1. I want to bring in something that is important to Cobb County, I do believe, and that is the Battery Atlanta, where the ballpark is, here where our stations are, and the fact that the Braves play here. And I know it was a bit contentious there for a little while, and the fact that opening up the Battery was liked by some, but not all, and even a commissioner was voted out because of it.
Yeah. I remember being down at the Olympics when they were finishing up, and everybody was questioning about what are we going to do with the stadium? What happens with that going forward? And so the conversation started that the powers that be were trying to do something in Atlanta and put together a mixed-use facility down there. The problem was there were 40-plus people that own property down there. And everybody, I think, had the idea that their property was the linchpin, so they should get the biggest price. They could never get that working. Well, lo and behold, the Braves found that there were 75 acres up here where the Battery now stands, and they could control it. That was the biggest thing. I remember getting a call from Tim Lee, since I was chairman of the Development Authority. He said, I want you to know this is coming, but I'm not asking the Development Authority to do anything. This will all be done exclusive of that, and told me what he was planning. And I said, Tim, you got a lot of guts to do this. He said, it's the right thing to do. So he did it. And Tim was a good friend and a great politician, and he did things for the right way, and it cost him a seat, and he knew it might. But if you look now at what's happened with that, the Battery is throwing off all sorts of money for Cobb County, both in property tax increases, property tax revenue, and sales tax, which benefits both the county and the school system with SPLOST. As a result of that, the stadium itself we had nothing to do with, but because of the mixed-use development that the Braves have put together, and they've had people coming from all across the country to see how well they have put business and sports together, and a lot of people are emulating that. But with the growth that's happened here with the bringing in of TK Elevator and Papa John's and all the restaurants that are here, the benefit to Cobb County is enormous, and really, Tim Lee's name needs to be remembered for having the guts to come in and do this. So it's really a good thing, and I'm very proud of it.
Clark Hungerford is our guest on the Morning Extra, running for Cobb Commission District 1, West Cobb. And I think this is really important to get back to the Battery and what the plan was. You had an attempt in Arlington by Jerry Jones to make a 365-day facility, and it didn't work. Everywhere around the country, they couldn't find the space, and the idea was out there, but it would never work. Cobb County took the shot at this, and sure enough, they got it right to the point where I think as of now, and Clark, you might even have the updated numbers, we've had about 150 professional organizations from around the world that have come to Cobb County, and these are pro soccer teams, football teams, baseball teams, basketball teams that have all come to Cobb County to say, how did you put this together? We would like to do this in our own communities.
I wish I had an update on that, because it probably is more than the number you gave, but I have been aware from time to time people have come to see this. And, I think the location here at 285 and 75 in the Galleria area, northwest Atlanta, is one of the things that really made this work. Of course, a lot of people were concerned about that when it was located, thinking, traffic's going to be terrible. We can't get there. It's going to be gridlock. Well, by doing the mixed-use development and having the bars and the restaurants around and the shops, people come early or they stay late. So traffic... the only time traffic has really been bad as a result of the Braves game was during the World Series, because people came early and stayed late in the stadium and all tried to leave at the same time. But that was late at night, so not a problem. During the season, you drive by, and I've driven by while there's a game going on, and the traffic's not any worse than it normally is during that time of day. But yes, kudos to the Braves organization for putting this together and doing that, and the benefit it's brought into Cobb County.
Do you feel like the naysayers of the Battery Atlanta have been answered now? Because you explained to me about the tax abatement that went on with that. Did they see that progress now, do you think?
So I think they see it. They may not admit it. It's like some other projects I've been involved in that people were against it. It ended up working out like we thought it would, but people have a hard time of saying, I made a mistake, and I think you did a good job. You just sometimes have to do the right thing for the right reasons and just move on forward.
Can you explain that to our listeners? Like
the tax abatement part?
Sure, yeah, absolutely, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, and it wasn't so much what they did here with the stadium, but it's the thing we do with the Development Authority. And a lot of people accuse us of giving away money. When we attract a company to come in, and first of all, economic development is a contact sport. You got to be ready with your best game to find out the things that will attract people. But when we bring a company in and they ask for a tax abatement, one of the things we look at is what is the benefit that company coming in the way of increased value of the property and the number of jobs they're going to bring in. Does that generate enough for a fiscal analysis to be positive? If so, then we do a tax abatement. And essentially, let me just use little numbers. I hope everybody can follow this. Let's say they go to a piece of property that's worth $1,000. And so you generate, let's say, $30 in property tax revenue. When they come in and develop that property, they take it from $1,000 to, let's just say, $1 million. All of a sudden, the property tax that's generated off that property is considerably higher. But what happens with a tax abatement is during construction, they continue to pay the same amount of taxes during that period of time. When the project is completed, they get the CO, then they start paying on the new schedule, but they do it at a 10% incremental increase each year. In other words, the first year, they get taxed at 10% of that value. The second year, they get taxed at 20% of the value, and they go all the way up. So at the end of 10 years, you get 100% of the value. Now, a lot of people say, well, why'd you give them that? Because they'll come anyhow. Well, No, they might go to Charlotte, they might go to Birmingham, they might go to Dallas, Texas, or somewhere else. But if they come to Cobb County and we give them this, then essentially what we collect over that 10 years of that 10% per year is roughly about 60% of what that value is. So you can see that property tax goes both to the county and to the school system. So, somebody might eventually develop that 5-10 years down the road, but during that period of time, you've missed that revenue that came in. So all in all, it's a win-win both for the community and for the company that's coming in.
Clark Hungerford is our guest running for Cobb Commission, District 1 West Cobb. Clark, I want to ask you about this because as a resident of Forsyth County, there's a lot of discussions about what's going to be built around here, and everyone gets excited about, hey, what might this new facility look like, and what's that going to do for our property value? Well, at the same time, you have to also be concerned about the property taxes. How much do you hear about that from Cobb County residents, that they want the development, they want the increased value, they want the companies in, but obviously they're also watching their own bottom lines for what it's doing to some of their properties?
Well, you do see that trickle-down effect come all the way around, that if you have a new property developed, it's kind of like when you live in a subdivision and, you have a house and then somebody comes in and builds a mansion next to you. Eventually, that will have some effect. But it's an incremental increase, so everybody sees prices going up. You have to, if you monitor the way you're spending money, then the government has no reason to increase taxes on you. That's one of the things I'm hoping to bring to the commission, is making sure that we spend money properly so that there is not a need to increase property taxes exorbitantly. Growth will come. Growth will bring increased value. Growth will bring increased revenue because you'll have an increased need for services that you have to fund somewhere. Yeah, you see some of the candidates going around talking about going away from property taxes. The government has to get its money somewhere, and so you have to look at that, or you have to look at cutting services. My position is, I think we provide a good quality in Cobb County. We have one of the lowest tax rates around, and we provide a high level of quality of services, and that's what I want to see us do. What I want to see us do, though, is look at how we're spending money and make sure that we do it as appropriately as possible and only have increases when absolutely necessary.
Clark Hungerford on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. How do folks find out more about your candidacy?
We have a good Facebook page. I also have a website, which is Clark for Cobb. That's Clark, C-L-A-R-K, F-O-R, Cobb, C-O-B-B.com.
Easy to
You
find.
can go to that. You want a sign? Get you a sign. Let me just point out, we're in early voting right now. Everybody can vote this end of this week through Saturday. They can vote all of next week and through Friday, and then the 19th. And I would encourage everybody to exercise your right to vote. That's what makes this democracy great. Want you to do that, and I would appreciate a vote for Clark Hungerford, District 1 County Commission.
There you go, Clark. Thank you so much for being here. Candidate week wrapping up for Clark and for Front Office Los Bryce, too. My name is Tug. Y'all come back now, you hear?
If you love listening to Extra all week, make sure you're here this weekend for even more great local shows from across the community. The All Four Seasons Home Show, Ben Burnett, Janelle King, and so many more. Listen to them this weekend or anytime on the all-new Extra 106.3 app.